Hello, this is episode 29 of the Salty Sports Show. As always, I am joined by Lincoln Steven. We have a returning guest, Ryan. Uh,
Hi, I'm Ryan. Nice to
yeah,
meet you all.
and as we talked about last time a bit, the lockout was finally over in baseball. And so, today's episode we're going to focus on that, on a couple different off seasons and a bit of a preseason preview and some, warm-ups and predictions, but um I guess we're going to start with that baseball off season, and the moves started flying. Um so as you know, last time we were on here, all of us did predictions for the shortstop market to
Oh, don't even mention those. All those were terrible.
they were bad. I blame the Rangers, honestly.
Dude, I was so pissed because I was like, my one big thing with that, like my one open ended note was like, don't count out the NL Central for any of these shortstops, guys. And it was literally just Cubs were just the only ones in it, and they were just not even in at the end. And then the Twins swoop in and get the big dog.
I just want to say, like, it's really disappointing to see that a certain very wealthy owner of the wealthiest in terms of value franchise in Major League Baseball decided not to get a big time shortstop. Or at least that's what normies would say. But as a real Yankee fan, as a real ball knower, we all know the Yankees went out and got arguably the best shortstop on the market. Isaiah kind of fell off, folks.
I'm getting hits over.
I guess
I get hits over.
I guess
and the guy who really only rivals him is like what? Andrelton Simmons, who had 40 defensive runs saved. That's something not the other. Seager, not can't do it. Correa can't do it. Simeon definitely can't do it. Story,
I like this guy.
Not even a shortstop, man.
We gotta bring Ryan on more. We gotta bring Ryan on more. So.
All right, so I guess because you brought up IKF. I mean, we might as well start with the domino effect that led to that big shortstop signing, I guess, then, right? Which was the two moves made by the Minnesota Twins. The first of which, I believe they traded IKF away, and in exchange... Well, no. They brought him in exchange. They sent out Mitch Garver. I'm not like, my memory of the other details of the trade aren't so clear, but those were the major pieces, if I'm remembering correctly.
It was like, I forgot the prospect's name. It was Ronnie something, I think. I only remember that because of MLB nerds, but he throws gas. I know that. But I mean, it was just a swap for a swap. They needed a shortstop, I guess, and they thought they had. Well, they were waiting to get their big fish at catcher, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
yeah,
Rangers needed a catcher and Twins needed a shortstop. So
I love that move for the Rangers, and well, I was like, what the hell are the Twins doing? Well, they had a plan in the end, and we'll get to that in a second.
It's always nice to get Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, and then trade from position of strength to get Mitch Garver. You gotta think that.
Yeah.
Put it in that perspective for Texas.
And the next move, the corresponding move that, the Yankees, I think without the context of, just isolating it from that, the move we're going to talk about after this, I like it for them. Getting Donaldson and IKF, I mean, and then I believe they moved.
They got Rodon too, right?
Yeah, they got who is the pit? No, didn't you get a catching prospect, Ryan? I forget his name.
Rortvedt isn't considered a prospect. I guess he's still a prospect. Is Rortvedt still a prospect?
I don't think so. Well,
he's
maybe.
Young,
I don't
that's
really
all
know.
I know.
Yeah, he's not going to start the season with the Yankees, not just because of injury, but we'll talk about this later too. They got Trevino, so I'm guessing Trevino is the backup now. But the Yankees got better with the move for sure. It's just kind of like one of those, the Yankees left the opportunity to be like the best team in baseball on the table. And, it sucks because they didn't go out and make any big moves after that, other than just bringing back Rio. I can't really complain because at least my team did something. There are definitely fan bases that are for fans of teams who just don't spend at all or cut their payroll out. I guess that it's kind of like a spoiled thing where like it's the Yankees, right? So
yeah, it's the Yankees. It's not.
It's kind of warranted though.
It's not build. It's not build the wall at Bump Day.
Yeah,
exactly.
I will say though, when it comes to like teams that really disappoints this offseason, I think the Cardinals are like forefront, like number one in that discussion. Not number one per se, but really up there in that conversation. They like big time left the opportunity to go out and establish themselves like NL Central, like the best team in the NL Central, and they just left it there. Like Sean Manaea, for as much as cash for getting him, what are the Cardinals not doing getting Sean Manaea at that price? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or signing a shortstop. Are you like
they needed a bigger pitcher than Steven Matz, and that was pretty obvious. I mean, Jack Flaherty is really talented when he's healthy, but he has so many injury issues,
Yeah.
and their rotation is so horrible. Like, it is really, really bad.
The Cubs made the move that the Cardinals should have made, and that was Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
I could have thought of like a better, like those two were like Marcus Stroman was going to be a sub-3 ERA pitcher with that St. Louis defense, and they left that on the table, which I can't even comprehend because Stroman's now a Cub. Stroman's like, I'm going to say pretty confidently going to be a top 30 starter in the league come this for 2022, right?
At least pretty close.
Yeah. And like how with the best infield defense in baseball, how do you let like the best ground ball starting pitcher on the market not like or he's like in terms of ground ball guys, he's one of the best. I think like Framber, those type of guys, he's up there with them. I don't know how they didn't get him that, especially on what the Cubs give him, like 3 years, right?
3 years, 71 million, and I'm still I know everyone is, or most sites will tell you that it's guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure the third year is still player option.
Okay.
I'll check, but even if that's all guaranteed, like that's a good contract. Like that's nothing.
Definitely.
It lets him hit the mark when he's 32, still get another good deal, and Cubs get their guy for 2 years.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of going back to the Yankees, we were kind of discussing the move there, but we didn't bring up, I'd say, the biggest piece of the trade, Josh Donaldson. And we also
alluded to him, I would say.
Yeah, and also the fact that Gio Urshela was in that deal. The Twins get a cheaper third baseman, and the Yankees get a more expensive upgrade, I would say. I'd say Donaldson, he still has a lot to offer in the tank. I would say he's a really good player. I would say Link would know that well.
He's had his fair share of doubts the last few years, but 2021 he really silenced a lot of that. Really strong campaign, and even with he's aging, he plays a position that I don't know how he's been able to still be effective at, but he has a lot to offer to the Yankees. So he's still promising, even with the risks involved, of course.
Yeah, and honestly, good move for both teams. The Twins freed up money to go do something big, and the Yankees, they gotta. It sucks that they're gonna lose out on that big guy, but they got some good pieces coming in, which you can work with. And hey, if the Twins suck again, there's always the trade deadline.
That is true. That is true.
I feel like it's kind of underappreciated it's not talked about enough how they changed a lot. Like I don't really think I got to feel like the impact of Gary's not going to be there, Voigt's not going to be there, Urshela's not going to be there, Gardner's not there, right? Like that's a Yankee. Like that Yankee team is very much different. It's really weird. It's weird and not in a bad way. It's just weird and like I've gotten used to seeing those guys pencil into the lineup. I never really got Urshela to be gone after a year after this 2020 season. And if they just want to shake things up, they did so successsually. It's just kind of like
I'm surprised. What is it? I'm not surprised. Okay. I'm surprised they actually let Gardner go, and then Voigt going to Texas. I completely forgot about.
So Voigt went to San Diego, not Texas.
San Diego. Oh, right, he went to San Diego. Oh, well, I feel like I'm confusing him with someone now.
Garver, probably.
No.
Someone else.
I'm really trying to think of. I have no idea you could be confusing.
You know what? I'm just confusing Texas because they made moves.
It's this whole mess.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd agree. I'd say the Yankees did a good job shaking things up, and it's interesting. The only thing is that I feel so bad for Volpe. He's gonna get hated on because Cashman must he loves him more than most people do. Let's just say, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I mean, there were reports in like December that the Yankees
And
were going to be quieter in the shortstop market because they really liked him and Peraza, which was like, okay, sure, like these guys are really good, but they're also the Yankees, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. So it was pretty touch and go up until all the signings happened.
We drafted Cody Jose instead of Anthony Volpe. Ha ha ha.
yeah, well, we drafted. I think what is his name?
Dude, Anthony Volpe wasn't an international guy? I thought he was. No way.
No, he was
he's from New Jersey.
Oh my god,
from New Jersey.
man!
I'm trying to remember.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
I know the Yankees passed up on Walker Buehler in the 2015 draft. I forget for who.
Well, everyone passed up on Walker Buehler.
Yeah, everyone did because he had a. He had Tommy
John.
Yeah.
And that draft class was terrible.
We picked James Caprillion over
him. Forgot about James Caprillion.
And Brian Hayes. We picked him over to Cabral. That one, I think, like the weirdest thing from this class is like I forgot Phil Bickford was a Giant apparently.
And then he was a Giant, and then he was a Brewer, and then he was.
Yeah, he sucked major ass with the Brewers. Like he just couldn't figure it out.
And then
he goes to the Dodgers. It just becomes like low key a top like 30, 40 reliever.
Dodgers pitching lab works its magic again.
Amen.
All right.
Speaking of wins, man, like, can we talk about like the fact that the White Sox, like I like legitimately had no idea what they were doing at first with Graveman and Kelly, but then like Crochet needs Tommy John, they turn Kimbrel into AJ Pollock, and I know you're a Dodger fan, so like I just want to talk, like I guess touch up on that trade. Like what do you feel about losing Pollock?
That's good.
Honestly, it's kind of sad because I feel like obviously the White Sox are getting better value, but like I get it, I understand, and you know what, I welcome Craig to my team as Steven did.
Dude, I'm like tearing up, man. All right, just hearing you say that.
They trying to be Craig,
Oh my gosh! Are
we gonna see the GD video, but with as a White Sox?
I think Caesar made that like a Dodger one. Yeah.
We got walkout songs. I was thinking about walking out to Sweet Child of Mine.
It's so electric. You got it. It's it's more of a pitcher song though, because it's got kind of a build up at the beginning.
I'm a reliever.
But it's so chill.
Coming out the bullpen.
Okay, yeah, then you gotta do it. Then you gotta do it.
I opted for Gasolina though. I feel like that's just more of like a.
You know what? I respect.
Yeah, that's a good.
I'm so like I had to kind of lean into the whole I'm Dominican thing,
Yeah, and so with the Pollock trade, so like I think I've told people this, but it's not common. Like it's not exactly the most common knowledge. My favorite team in the American League from like my dad is the White Sox, so it's it's kind of cool seeing it for both teams. I feel like it's a win-win.
It was a good deal for both teams.
I think it's a win-win. The White Sox had the greater win for now, but it's a win-win regardless. Like,
well, the good thing with the Sox is they were able to find a team who, the Dodgers they didn't really need Kimbrel, but they were able to trade from place of strength. A guy like Pollock, who, granted, is not going to be nearly as good as he was last year, just to get that out in the open, but it's still like a pretty solid outfielder. And they were able to, to get him pretty similar prices.
Yeah,
and they just found a team like that, and then the Dodgers were mutually interested. So I don't know, felt like a deal the White Sox might have initiated, but Dodgers traded. I don't think the Dodgers can lose the deal no matter what happens because they traded from a place of immense strength, and they were able to get one of the best closers in baseball. So
yeah,
hey,
it's money for money.
And Kimbrel, like I know that spring training outing was garbage. But I have a hard time believing that the Dodgers. I have a hard time believing the Dodgers trade for a high level closer, and he doesn't immediately become so much better with them, or not better, but like gets back to what he was.
The big thing about him when I was watching, just obviously the I hate to cut you off, Ryan, but obviously the velocity and the movement was a bit awry, and it really showed up later in the season. But I mean, just if you look at his stint just with the Cubs earlier on in the year, it was like you're not keeping that throughout a full season. He had like a sub .5 ERA
Yeah.
with us in like
Yeah, it was
35,
a
like
12
nearly
ERA
40
minus.
innings. Yeah, and it was ridiculous. He was striking out an insane guys at an insane clip. I mean, he was having like the best first half he's ever had. And this is a Hall of Fame closer, one of the best of all time, in like his 10th or 11th year. So you like that, like you're trading for that. You're going to expect some aggression. And even if you look at his total season numbers, his ERA was like 2.3, I think, and he
Yeah.
still had like 100 strikeouts. You know, he still shut it down. If you just look at a full season, it's soured by the Sox stint, obviously. But I mean, you're looking at a full year. You're obviously expecting those numbers to even out in any role. I think with the White Sox it would have, but obviously their bullpen, didn't really need him. But with the Dodgers and now getting the close roll back, I mean, hard to believe it won't.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's just the Dodgers. Like they're always going to make. They're always going to have some reasoning behind every move. Spring training is a fluke. Bellinger will be back. The Heen Dog will be back. Kimbrel will be back. Don't worry.
Yep.
Amen.
Kimbrel
Amen.
posting his 2012 season as a Dodger, the year that he had a 1.01 ERA and 0.76 Sierra is gonna happen again.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
So now,
How does it even happen? Like how?
I don't know. Ask Link. I
He
think
was
I
like
think
he was like the first VA.
he was
like
a
the
Brave
first
when that
vertical
happened,
approach
right?
angle, Chad.
He was
Yeah,
He was
his
like
is
he was the first vertical approach angle guy. So that was probably it.
Link. You got to tell us how it happened.
What?
You got to tell us how Kimbrel had those insane stats
I don't know what you're talking about.
with the Braves.
Hey pal, I played for your team, buddy.
You played for your team.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Link space. You can't trust anything that guy says.
Yes, you can.
All right. We will obviously.
All right. So let's finally.
You get privileges when you've been podcasting for almost 30 episodes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to another movie.
Let's finally get to the big one. Let's finally get to the big one.
Let's
finally get to the big one. We're talking about him a little bit with the Twins. They signed Carlos Correa, and I remember the absolute shock.
Why did they sign him at 1 a.m?
Dude, I remember.
I woke up at like 7,
I was asleep.
and I was like, wait, what the hell? No, because I saw a Heyman tweet. It was like the Twins got their guy. I'm like, wait, what happened?
So I was talking with Ethan, the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a name reveal there. It doesn't really matter. And it was him and a couple other people while it was happening. And then he just says, "Oh my God, the Twins signed Correa," and we were all like, "There's no way, there's no way." And it like I looked and was like, "Holy shit!" And like it was an Astros reporter that broke it, and I was like, "Yeah, that guy has to be credible." Like, because a Houston source, they definitely they're close to Correa, and yeah, it was like, holy crap. And honestly, like I was a bit sad, but then the funniest thing was the mixed reactions from White Sox fans. Some of them were like, "Oh my God, the season is over. The Twins are gonna pass us," and then others were like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing that could have happened. Correa going to the Twins, a team that we're still better than, instead of staying in Houston or going to the Yankees, like teams that could legitimately beat us." Like that was a movie, but I will say, good deal for both sides. The Twins get a big money signing Correa that makes the fan base happy in the short term, and if they're good, he's going to help us with our ambitions of winning. And if they're bad, he has those opt outs, which is really good for him because then he can get a big contract next year when the shortstop market isn't playing off each other. Because let's be honest, it's very safe to assume that the Dodgers are going to retain Trey Turner. And so he will be the big fish, and he can opt out, and the Twins could possibly trade him at the deadline and get a really good return for him.
That would be insane.
Like I legitimately think like the Dodgers or the Cubs are going to have Carlos Correa on their roster at some point within the next 2 years.
Maybe.
It's
I
gonna
would
happen.
I would be ecstatic.
Depends how
The
I
reason I
just
believe this. Wait, go ahead.
depends.
no.
It depends on how the Dodgers feel about Trey. But yeah,
I think what'll happen is either A, the Dodgers, they're like, fuck you, Gavin Lux, and they go get Carlos Correa because something like Lux is just not performing well. Or B, Correa plays through the whole season with the Twins, he opts out, and, the Cubs are like, yeah, we're good. We're going to be good now. And they sign Correa, like Stroman's I think Stroman's going to like want them to compete, and he's going to be like, yeah, spend money, do shit. Like, if you want me to stay, you got to spend. So something like that's going to happen.
yeah.
I could totally see that. The weird thing for me in this whole thing was how the Twins managed to come out ahead in this market. Because even if whatever excuse you want to use for whatever team not getting them, Dodgers having Turner and the Yankees, liking their shortstop prospects, 3 years, not like only like barely guaranteed, like with so much freedom in this deal for the guy. It's weird to see the Twins being the front runners in that deal, and that's one thing that there's obviously a reason behind. I'm just not finding it.
Well, the reason was because no one was giving Correa the long-term deal he wanted, so he was willing to settle.
Well, sure, but wouldn't they be more interested or be more willing to offer him that deal that's not nearly as much risk to the team or barely any risk at all to get just like a few years of the guy?
I don't.
Yeah,
Even if he's terrible, if he's super injured for those 3 years,
the
I'd
Yankees
totally
wanted
bank
a
on that risk
short-term
for $100
guy.
million.
The
Yeah.
whole thing was the Yankees wanted to go short term. Like they would have had Correa for around as much
That
as they would
was
have
that
had
was
IKF.
that was the big thing around the Cubs too, is they didn't really want to spend
Yeah.
super long term. So they went out and got that's why they were talking like 8 years for him. And it's
Right.
weird they didn't want to go with 3 or they didn't sense it or I don't know. There was a lot. It's the timeline's really confusing with this market.
Yeah.
There's just no way that out of all like the big there's no way the Mets went through their entire market and they were out on Correa before he signed if he was signing a short term deal. There had to have been something
especially
medical
with
make
related.
an argument for every team signing him.
Especially
deal.
with
It's just weird to
Baez
see
leaving, that felt kind of weird that he just went untouched. Feels weird that the Phillies didn't do anything to get him, to be honest. And that
Yeah, another team. Like they would have totally given him that money.
yeah,
Exactly. There's so many teams that could have gotten him.
like
I know every fan base is going to complain about their team not getting him, except for Twins fans. Of course,
I feel like if it wasn't
obviously a reason.
if it wasn't for Tatis, it would. I feel like that could have spelt Padres. But I think Correa wanted to play short, so yeah.
That would have been something to see. But then again, we have seen him play the outfield before, so
Yeah. But yeah, that's just it's crazy. But I guess
there's a lot of moving parts.
yeah.
And you know what the weirdest thing is how Story got 6 years and Correa didn't. Like that baffles me.
I was about to bring up
I
Trevor's
thought Story was getting a 1 year deal. I thought he was getting I thought he was gonna do what Keuchel did or what Contreras was probably gonna do, or he's just gonna his market was gonna plummet because Bruce Levine was talking about how teams have concerns long term with him as shortstop because of his arms. It might have even as a long term second baseman. Yeah, and his power was as 2021. He's coming off a super down year and a stack. Everything was working against him, and he still got this big deal.
Dude, why? Okay, so I was about to transition the story, so thank you for that, Steven. Why is Boston?
No problem.
Why is Boston playing him at second and not short?
Because
I think it's just the arm. Yeah, that Xander's got too much love with the fan base, but I don't know. Logically, you want to use actual stuff. I guess it would be the arm, but granted, it's hard to see a world where he's a worse shortstop than Bogart.
Sometimes the incumbent just gets the love. I mean, that's what the Dodgers did with Seager and Trey Turner. Even though I would say Trey Turner's a better fielder, because I would say they kept Seager at short, which haunted us a little bit. Maybe a little more than a little bit, to be honest.
No, I totally agree with you. And there's so many reasons for it. But I mean, that's not even the weirdest part of the deal, which is just insane.
Yeah, and so I mean, I guess now that we're talking about Story, Boston, they're trying to do their best to kind of maintain their position because to a lot of people, and I agree with this, I think Boston is the fourth best team in the American League East as it
I
stands.
agree. I agree.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I think they're still like a good team, like solidly above 500, but definitely below the top three in that division for me.
And well, now fourth place can cut it for the postseason berth. You don't want that fourth place. You want better.
No, they're digging for top. They're digging for division or at least top two.
Yeah, and I mean
That's clear.
every team is clearly gunning for that division, whether you'll get it or
Of
not.
course.
Different story. But I like the move. I think if maybe you have a story at second for now, let his arm get better. Then at next, maybe the year after, get him at short, full power. That can be dangerous. Boston.
Yeah, that could work.
Boston has a lot of promising. There's a lot of promise there. Their farm is getting better, which is partially because Dombrowski isn't burning through it. Partially because poaching an executive from the Rays gets those kind of results out of the farm. And it's
They have a lot to look forward to.
It's interesting, and obviously they're going to miss Chris Sale for the start of the year, but I trust that Nate Eovaldi can he can be that he can be again like a borderline kind of ace caliber guy.
Have we considered that Rick Hill stinks? So does my team.
I mean, their rotation leaves a lot to be desired. No one questioned that, but I mean, they have a decent team. Like, I would be content as a Red Sox fan right now. I would say. I mean, I know, like, I confidently say they're behind the top three, but like you have room to improve. I would say. So I mean, in that division, and throughout the baseball season, anything can happen. So when you're within, honestly, even just 10 wins of those top three squads, the Red Sox are a good enough team to make up that number, and with all the wildness that's going to go. So
Yeah, and if you're Boston, like how would I say this? I feel like you're looking at your situation compared to where you were feeling at the end of 2019, at the end of 2020. Regardless, as long as it's a good season and you can win, I would say you can have a very comfortable winning record. It's still progress from that past threshold of, oh my god, after 2019-20, like doom and gloom kind of deal.
exactly.
I miss those days, man. I miss them. I really do. Bro.
But I guess we can move now from the shortstop to the next big free agency saga. Which was of course at the first base position, and obviously Freddie Freeman was on the open market, but it seemed that the Braves didn't negotiate with him in good faith at all, and went in for Matt Olson. So Link, we'll let you discuss, those set of moves.
All right, so yeah, man, what a very unpopular move. Just gonna go out there and say right now, I mean, I forgot. I mean, the timeline of this whole situation. Didn't we trade for Olson like before?
Yes.
Yeah, before Freeman.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think we. Okay, now I'm starting to remember.
Yeah, you guys put him on your island.
Yeah, so I guess it was obvious from the start, from all the negotiations and whatnot, that the ownership of the Braves were not going to pay Freeman what he wanted, so they went with the backup plan. Just decided to try to trade the Athletics for Matt Olson, which another All-Star first baseman. But I mean, the issue isn't like what's to be mad about? We traded an All-Star first baseman for an All-Star first baseman. That's not necessarily the issue. I mean, the issue is just more of like, God. I mean, it felt like they didn't even try with trying to negotiate Freddie with any like reasonable deal. I mean, it feels like he would have taken. I mean, like that would be his best offer there. He would have.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off. Don't mean to cut you off, Link, but it kind of felt like they were trying to do both things at the same time, trying to get Freddie back and trying to trade for Matt Olson.
I actually curious. Wasn't Matt Olson's contract bigger than Freddie's?
It was like longer, but the AAV was smaller.
Okay. So like overall bigger, but less like the per year.
Yeah, and he's like 4 years younger, I think.
Okay. And look, I understand the logic behind what the Braves did, but I don't and I get that the farm is barren, so they would have to. But I don't understand giving up so many prospects for like a lateral move. Basically, I feel like Freeman is just such a franchise icon.
They,
you could
yeah,
live with him. You
but
can live with that with a bad few years on his contract.
I think
You
that from
know,
the Braves'
I
perspective,
think the only
no, go
reason
for
they
it.
get prospects probably because that's what the Athletics want. This year, I guess, was the year they're going to downsize their payroll. They're currently at barely hovering above $30 million in the payroll.
Yeah,
But I
they.
mean,
We'll talk about more of their moves soon, but yeah, the Athletics, they go through those cycles in and out where they are, rebuilding and then contending, and it seems like they with the looming possible move to Vegas, they think that, and I don't blame them for this strategy. The best course of action is to rebuild in the final years of Oakland and field a competitive team upon arrival in Las Vegas.
Interesting perspective there, Salt, and I'd like to hear more about that as we go along, maybe. But I want to say, if I'm stepping into AA's shoes here real quick, and I'm thinking about this deal, the big deal breaker here for me is that Freddie Freeman is 31, 32, and Matt Olson's 20. I don't want to say 27. I feel like he's 28. So you're looking at a 3-4 year age gap there.
Yeah,
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking at a 3-4 year age gap. You're gonna get at bare minimum, I would say you're getting 5 great years out of Matt Olson.
yeah,
Which, and granted, I'm not saying you're not getting 5 great years out of Freddie Freeman, but you're looking at the risk reward there. A lot less risk for Matt Olson, more risk for Freddie, probably more reward over those 8 years for Olson, and again, less for Freddie. So, then you're kind of looking at the prospects. All right, let's look at the prospects. Christian Pache, Shea Lengy, I'm not even gonna say his last name. Shea something or other.
Langoliers?
Okay.
Is it
Langoliers.
Langoliers?
It's
Something
like
like that.
it's something like that. It's like Langoliers. I don't even know. He reached the majors, and then I'll say your last name right, pal. Okay. Anyway, so you're looking at Pache, Freddie Freeman, by the way. Raul Acuna Jr. is their center fielder. Okay, you look at Langelier, whatever, and then you look at like their catcher platoon, and the Braves are very unorthodox at the catcher position, but it's clear that they are. They're kind of year by year. They get like Darno and Manny Pena.
yeah.
They're not they're not like looking for like a real
I think
like a real stud catching
I
prospect.
think they
So they
played
obviously viewed him as
Acuna at right
expendable.
more in the last couple seasons.
Did they? I thought I don't know.
Yeah,
I
he's been
thought
playing
they
more.
had.
He's Link. Correct me if I'm wrong. Acuna's been playing more right field now, right?
yes.
Okay.
I thought they had depth or they had options in the
They,
outfield
I think they
that to
still
view
do
them as
have.
expendable.
I think they still do have options. It's just that Acuna isn't the one in center. I think.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, but your view. I think they still view these two prospects as expendable, and to the A's, like the home run getting these two top prospects for Matt Olson, who
Yeah.
was guaranteed to go, if you weren't going to trade him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, from that perspective, good for both sides. But the Braves, I don't know. I guess they're looking at a lot more value at Olson than they were at Freeman. If you're looking at the two contracts next year. Probably not. Next year, they're probably going to be pretty similar players. But you're looking long term. Yeah, it's hard to make a better argument for Freeman than it was for Olson. Although, granted, losing Freddie Freeman when he's been there for 10 plus years, gonna sour some
Yeah.
apples.
Like I said,
Yeah, but I mean, like,
go
I
ahead.
think it's just like I don't get it. I mean, they're definitely trying to continue their profit margin. I mean, I guarantee you they're selling a hell of a lot more tickets than they did last year because I mean, this is the World Series champions, defending champions, Atlanta Braves. But, I mean, it feels like a lot of the people they have like Freeman, Solares didn't sign. He signed with the Marlins. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very disappointing. All I'm saying is Ted Turner might spent the money to sign Freeman.
Yeah.
That is a fact. Anyway.
I'm just gonna say I find it was like a lateral move. I understand in the long run it can you're reaping more benefits with the money you're investing, and I know that the prospects the Braves had I know Pache in particular, his value was kind of deprecating. So look, I think that I can understand the move. I can understand the thought process behind it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's just it's just a move that I think I can't really judge it harshly or with a rose tint. I just have to let time be the judge in the end.
Yeah.
That's not that. I totally agree with you.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I mean, the Braves, I mean, they didn't really lose a lot, but they didn't really gain a lot with this. I mean, like I said, they traded an all-star for racing for a younger all-star first baseman.
Yeah.
And no matter what, the Dodgers come out here total winners getting Freddie Freeman for that money because they can afford to burn anything. The Guggenheim Corp, those guys are printing money at this point.
I do kind of want to say, and I wouldn't, I feel like every team is to a degree, but kind of speaking of like them with the bad faith negotiations with Freeman and how I would say his previous contract was a bargain too. It kind of feels like the Braves are up, like they're up there for like exploitative teams.
I knew it. I knew you would say this.
Look, every team is guilty of it. The Dodgers are very guilty of it, but
have the Braves
every team does it, but
like,
no one does it like the Braves.
The Braves actually have people on island. Like I'm like, look, it was a joke at first, and it was like I thought it was a pretty funny joke, but like I'm genuinely concerned that they are like actually blackmailing players.
You get a call from AA. You said, but sign.
And I mean, even then, it's like you look at it from Matt Olson's perspective. What are you going to do? Turn down $180 million because you want 250, maybe 250, and when you hit free agency, like no, you're obviously going to take the extension.
No, well, I'm not saying Olson's contract was, but I'm saying
I know, but it kind of brings it back up. But then you get like some Braves fans saying, "Oh, it's the culture." They really want to be here because of the culture. Like, no, that's not. Christian Yelich did not sign a 9-year deal with the Brewers because he really loved the sights and smells of Milwaukee, pal. Okay, you don't sign it. You sign it because they give you 9 figures.
Yeah.
What is the culture?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a great question, Link, because I frankly do not know.
But
maybe it's just the chop hyping you up for good 8 years.
Yeah, you just love having the chop there. But all right. So now
we can move on now.
Yeah, now it's time to talk about the corresponding move with Olsen gone. The Dodgers. So the Braves were out of the market, and then there were rumors about the Blue Jays being in. The Yankees were kind of in, but it seemed like they were out of it on the last couple of days, and it just felt imminent. And the Dodgers, they got their man, they got Freddie, and I just gotta say, at first, when free agency opened, I was somewhat hesitant. I really wanted Correa, but as time went on, I was like, yeah, Muncy probably isn't gonna play for a while. Maybe having him DH anyways would be good. I was like, you know what, we could really use a first baseman, so we went out and got a first baseman, and I'm very happy. I mean, I feel like any fan of any team should be happy with Freddie Freeman on their team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good baseball player. Freddie Freeman's always been a solid player.
Yeah, not like he could be on like a Hall of Fame trajectory or anything.
Yeah, no, like not does he like maybe if he can put together something, so maybe have like around a 120, 125 WRC plus.
Yeah.
Surely he's not like a consistent 140 guy. I just want to say, like, I can't. The Dodgers fucking adding Freddie Freeman is just so like it's ridiculous, man.
They didn't even the funniest
no,
part,
they didn't.
Just why not?
And this is what really gets me when people say like, oh, our team didn't really need this. It's fine we didn't get it. No. In a league with the Los Angeles Dodgers, there's no, oh, we didn't need it, so it's fine. It's like not. It's fine. It's okay we didn't get it. No. If you can get better at a position, the Dodgers showed you get better at that position, and you go out and actively spend to get better in that position.
Yeah. The Dodgers had a guy that was a consensus top 5 first baseman, and then went forward and got another one.
They went out basically, and this is something that how convinced are we that the Dodgers at the deadline are going to make a bid at a guy like Jose Ramirez? You know what I mean? Like, they go out and are consistently going out and trying to get the best players on the market. And does it mean that they're going to win the World Series every single year? No. It mean they're going to consistently go on deep playoff runs and winning rings? Yes. And
I was gonna interject. No, Ryan, you finish. But I was gonna interject with something that you were talking about. But finish.
But I know that I'm a Yankees fan, and I've got a lot of my owner does spend, but it's like there's not the spend to go out and be the best team. The Dodgers they spend to go out and be the best team, and they do it in a really smart way. They're not like in the Padres where they just kind of throw assets around,
or the Phillies.
Right. It's more like we're going to spend a lot of money, and we're going to do it and definitely get better. And when we want to make low-key moves, we'll knock it out the park, getting Alex Vesia and Bickford. Like, those are huge components to that bullpen last year. And does anyone know what they gave up to get those players? Like, I don't give a
Dylan
shit.
Floro, for Vesia.
Yeah.
I forgot about Dylan Floro.
I feel like that's kind of a win-win deal, because wasn't he pretty good on the Marlins?
Yeah, but
anyway,
it's not going to make me lose sleep at night.
Yeah,
the Dodgers are the only team who every time you talk about them, you're always like, well, anything can happen in the playoffs. Like, no team on baseball is going to be better on paper than the Dodgers. You have to get so lucky with your prospects to even have a chance to touch them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, they're heads and tails above everyone else. And I mean, granted, didn't make the World Series in 2019 or 2021 because they ran into these, Cinderella run teams. But that team, you're building the best team on paper.
I was thinking, this is insane to think about, but since 2015, every team that has won the World Series had to either had to beat one or both of the Dodgers and Astros on the way there, or they were the Dodgers or Astros themselves. It's really crazy to think about.
And it's no surprise.
I think the most terrifying thought is like the thought of the Astros getting an owner who's willing to spend an unreasonable amount of money. Like, the Astros and Dodgers meet the World Series like at least 5 times in a decade.
Oh God, the war.
It's funny too, because Jim Crane is like the he's like the black sheep. He would be like the black sheep of the Jones family, and yet it's and yet he's still building a team that's perennially the AL Dodgers basically.
Yeah, pretty much. If you want to win the American League, you got to get through Houston.
I feel like at this point, you just have to always bet on Houston winning the American League, and then some years they won't, some years and it'll be like a team that's just really, really good. Or the Astros, in 2020, the Astros were just not as good as they usually were. Right, like if it wasn't for Altuve for some reason being the worst defender to ever exist, they win that series, which is kind of crazy to think about, because that was the best team in the American League versus a team that was below 500, and everyone's like, oh, they should have made the playoffs. And then you have the 2018 season when they ran into like the best team of all time in the Red Sox. Like, that team was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, like
those are the only 2 years in the past 5 in which they haven't gone to the World Series.
Yeah.
In 17 they went, 19 they went, 21
because 2016 is now like beyond that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Unless you run into the greatest team ever, or the Astros have ridiculous levels of incompetence that you cannot account for, right? Like, they're going to go to the World Series, which is ridiculous to think about.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, speaking about the Dodgers, because we'll keep this about. It's like, it's insane how the dedication to winning this organization has, and I'm proud of it, and I'm glad we got someone like Freeman, and who's gonna be awesome. our lineup is insane now. Like every year, the only thing that stops the Dodgers from winning the World Series is the Dodgers. No team beats the Dodgers. The Dodgers beat themselves. And that's just ultimately. I mean, we're gonna have questions with the rotation. Kershaw's durability. You're gonna lean on heavily on Bueller and
The Heen
Urias.
dog, baby. The Heen
The
dog.
The Heen
Oh my
dog's
god,
back.
man.
But
I'm not
yeah,
even
But
joking.
the
Like,
Dodgers just have so many options in their staff. Ridiculous.
I would be like the happiest man on planet Earth if Andrew Heaney figured it out in Los Angeles. Like,
yeah.
I would be so happy.
Um,
I want him to be good.
yeah.
Does anyone remember that they still have David Price?
Yeah.
Yes.
And speaking of Kershaw, he's
He's
back.
like their 9th starter.
Kershaw's back on a 1-year deal. Happy to see him back. Just wanted to bring that up. But
Possible retirement tour too. Don't forget.
I
don't think he's retiring.
I gotta see him live, man.
I don't know. 1-year deal.
I gotta go to
Pitch and go.
I gotta go to a big Kersh game live.
Exactly.
But now that we got that done, let's get through some other moves, possibly a little more quickly as well. But let's start with we'll start with the Cubs getting that the star from, I believe it was Japan, that was so coveted.
Yeah.
Suzuki.
Seiya Suzuki.
From
Yeah.
Hiroshima.
Um.
Yes. I mean, I could break this down if you want, Salt, because I got.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, yeah, take it from here.
Yeah, no. They got their guy. Touch and go with the Cubs of free agency too. They were in the Correa market. Then they signed Andrelton Simmons, and that was kind of all over the place. And then they went after and got Seiya Suzuki, which was a big surprise to everyone, I think. I mean, there was news the night before. There were reporters saying, they were meeting with the Ricketts family. He's meeting with the Ricketts family, and they were going to try to sell him on the team. And they were always in the listed suitors. But, it's a guy from Japan, so you're always thinking like West Coast, Mariners, Padres, some team along those lines. So just to see him pick the Cubs was a huge shock. Waking up to it was a very, very pleasant surprise. I was very happy to see, happy to hear. He's very good. Probably the best of the three, or I would say definitely the best of the Japanese players to sign recently. Satsugo Akiyama and some guy I'm forgetting. Might be Kim. I don't remember for sure.
Kim's
I don't
from
know.
Korea,
I think it's someone else, but I'm forgetting. Yeah, Kim. Yeah, Kim was from Korea. So I'm definitely forgetting someone else, but definitely the best of those big three. Big thing for him is the power. Obviously, he had 40 homers.
Yeah,
2021 or 2019 with them.
At first, I thought you were trying to like do a joke like who that Otani guy, but
well, I just want to say,
no, that was him. Oh my god, no, I'm such.
Wait.
Hey, Suzuki's better than Shohei Ohtani, folks.
At
least a position player. Look, Seiya Suzuki projected 142 WRC plus and 3.9 F4. Ohtani 138, 3.6.
I knew I was making a good choice becoming a steamer guy just after Rizzo, just before Rizzo signed. I knew I was becoming a good choice. That was my instinct.
I might be. I'm a Bat X guy. I'm sorry.
I'm a steamer guy for my pitchers because I'm a steamer guy for my pitchers, but for hitters, I'm a steamer guy. At least with the bat, does the Bat X have?
So the Bat X, the Bat X loves the Dodgers basically. So
there it is. Love Suzuki, so I don't love it.
Of course, no surprise there. But I mean, Suzuki, he's definitely going to have to face a learning curve because obviously Japan's pitchers and the environments are very different than the ones over here.
He's looked good in spring training, I think.
Yeah, he already has 2 homers. His swing is exceptional. I mean, his bat moves so quickly. His plate discipline in Japan was outstanding. His strike zone discipline was really good. I think in most prospect lists, I mean, granted, not really a prospect at 27 years old, but I think if you were forced to put him in a prospect list, I think you guarantee top 50, possibly cracking that top 30 range. I don't know. So, he's very talented, and he's definitely, one of the most coveted guys to come out of Japan. Is an established free agent, of course, not the Ohtani kind of thing, where he's 23 years old. This guy's 27. He's established, and that, like the Cubs said, they're viewing him as a guy who can help them this year and down the line when they're building the next great Cubs team, 2024, 2025, whenever. Great defender, good hitter, checks
And he
off a lot of
provides
boxes,
power.
and we'll just have to let him adjust. What was
Yeah.
that, Ron?
I think the big thing here is that they add power, right? Like Suzuki's gonna be able
Exactly.
to hit a lot of home runs, and they have some good hitters. They have. I think I know the one that Steven loves the most, Madrigal, right?
Yeah, my
The
dog.
big thing is with Madrigal and Horner is like they don't have power, right? So you wanted to have guys in there who could hit a lot of home runs. Suzuki, Hap, Schwindel, Contreras are gonna provide a lot of power, which is good.
Wisdom too.
Wisdom as well, for sure. And then the Cubs, am I gonna tell you the Cubs are gonna go out and win like 90 games this year and make the playoffs? No, because that's not there's a lot of things that they need to keep building.
They have a lot of hurdles to overcome, yeah.
Right. But, getting Suzuki and securing him for the next 5 years is a huge, huge start. Like, this is a guy who can almost immediately be a top 10 right fielder, is 27 years old in the middle of his prime, right? Like, I really do think a lot of people are overlooking the fact that they probably got one of the best position players on the market. They got one of the youngest players on the market. This is big for them. I think this is like one of the best spots he could have gone to. And I'm pretty sure Wrigley's pretty friendly for right-handed hitters, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I'll double check.
It's pretty in. Yeah, it's pretty in. I mean, the dimensions are pretty straight everywhere, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it is the last I recall.
Yeah, if he would have gone to San Diego, that would have been brutal for him. San Diego hitting, man.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. I mean, I'll just solve one last thing with Suzuki, and I was gonna jump on this right before Ryan he picked up first. Good for him. But yeah, no, the middle infield for the Cubs, very power lacking, obviously with Madrigal and Horner. You're obviously, that's where everyone was hoping for Correa would pick it up and you'd find somewhere to fit Horner and Madrigal around anywhere, any which way. But really, as long as you get power bat in the lineup, and that's what I think Correa would have provided the most for the Cubs, is that power bat. And of course that plate discipline. You're getting both that in Suzuki, and you're getting that top of the order bat. So you're getting a lot of what you need to go after this offseason, and it really helps alleviate a lot of the pressure off that middle infield that can just stick with its defense and be good around the lineup, not necessarily be the top hitter, but that's not necessarily required.
I'm not the most familiar with your roster construction, so I could be wrong, but maybe it's like you have in the middle infield Simmons and Madrigal, in the outfield's like Hap, Horner, and Suzuki or something.
That I think they'll run some lineups like that for sure.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I guess moving on. So I mean, we were discussing the A's blow up a bit, and so we can talk about some of the other pieces they have moved. Matt Chapman is going to the Blue Jays. They get a big hole filled at third base. Obviously, great pickup. Definitely a player that I think his hitting has been down, but he can definitely pick it up. Like he has
he's a good progression candidate.
Yeah, and he has that ceiling where he can hit that 125, 130 WRC plus with like some of the best defense in third base in the league. Definitely something pretty good. And then obviously other players that moved on. We brought it up. Sean Manaea, he's off to the Padres, and Chris Bassett off to the Mets.
I am depressed.
Of course, the one. Well, there's a couple major pieces that could still hang around, but obviously Frankie Montas and Sean Murphy still on the board for possible trade moves. So those are going to be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, like I said, I think with the state of the A's, to me, I mentioned this earlier. I think that they always have to go through the cycles of rebuilding, being competitive, and I feel like unlike Tampa, except for a few years, we're in like the mid 2010s, who have had much more, I would say, stable success. at least over longer periods of time rather than 3 years. They've had like 5-7 year windows. It feels like the A's, with the instability with their windows and a possible looming move to Vegas. I think for them it's just about, all right, look, we're not really going to get far with this core. Obviously, the pitching has improved a lot, but the time for that pitching to be there would have been those earlier prime years, honestly. To be as good as it was, last season, with Manaea, Bassett, Montas, um, and then, kind of sucks for them that Luzardo didn't really work out. But for the A's, the goal now to me is rebuild in these final years in Oakland, say goodbye, open up opening day with Vegas with a competitive roster. As for the other teams, the Mets are going to lean on Bassett, as a number 3, I believe. And
Number 1 right now.
yeah, now with those injuries to Scherzer and DeGrom, which are going to impact them a lot, and
Scherzer, what happened?
but obviously,
I thought you were Kevin Clark Schmidt.
But obviously, going into it, they were hoping he'd be that 3. They're more thankful now that they got Bassett than they were before. And as for you know the Padres, they solidify a really good rotation that just a bunch of guys they've traded for. You look back a few years ago thinking about like the wealth of pitching that they had in their farm and how a lot of it is stagnated, or a lot of it they're just not trusting to really take the next stage and be, that guy at the major league level. Look at like Mackenzie Gore, Ryan Weathers, what's his face? Motorhon. None of those guys cracking that rotation at this point. But you never know. There's some durability issues in the Padres rotation for sure. That could be a cause for any of them to come. But the Padres once again looking good on paper. It's just about the execution. Guess what? We're going through a few more moves to talk about Chris Bryant to the Rockies. Good for Chris Bryant getting to the Rockies.
Questionable for the Rockies.
Yeah, but hey, Bryant gets to now raise his counting stats further, being in cores, and Chris Bryant Hall of Fame resurgence bandwagon. I don't know.
Oof, might have to hop on that.
Yeah, honestly, I hope at least Bryant can get the counting stats, just go to the Hall of Fame, right? Like he's got a ring, right? He's got his bag.
Yeah.
Just go get the counting stats.
And he has the MVP. Like
he was off like the hottest start you could possibly ask for a possible MVP type player in his first 2 years, and it's just he's gotta get back on that track.
Yeah. But hey, he has the accolades in the ring, and the fact that he was the face of the team that broke a World Series curse. He has that going for him.
Exactly.
Obviously and as to continue, the Giants, they got Carlos Rodon, which there were some concerns about his arm and its injury, but if with him, he's looked good in spring training. That can be a really deadly good signing. Compliment, I would say, one of the best rotations in baseball. And then obviously you have just to keep going through some moves quickly, Nick Castellanos. There was a lot of speculation about the Padres, but it looks like the Phillies got him. And God help Aaron Nola. That's what I could say, because that defense is awful. Like in the words of a basketball player, that shit stinks. But
it's quite terrible.
I'm just gonna tell you now.
Aaron Nola, man.
I'm just gonna tell you now, Link. You're gonna have fun hitting some ground balls through that Phillies infield and some line drives through that. You won't have to worry about their outfield getting any of those down.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, the Phillies defense is going to be generationally awful. it could be useful if Harper, I mean, like he has the ability, he just never plays up to it. Becomes a good defender. Just gonna throw that out there. Um, and obviously he's not the player to criticize, though. I'm just saying I just kind of named him because the ability is there. He's the only one that I can think of that has the ability. Um, but yeah, I guess those are like the major signings. And now we're gonna kind of just do some predictions. We're gonna predict the divisions. Yeah. So, do we want to start with the American League or the National League, or we want to go east to west or west to east?
Well, I honestly don't really have a preference.
Well, I mean, you read from left to right, so let's just go west to east.
So okay, I guess
Alright,
it's
sounds like a
American.
plan.
American. The A comes first in the alphabet, so we'll start with them, right?
All right.
Sure,
All right.
I like the logic there.
All right. The American League West. If anyone wants to, have their predictions, want to go first, by all means. I mean, I think if you want to start, Ryan, you've kind of implied, I'd say, who you think wins it with an earlier statement about them going to the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Stros, baby. It's the Stros.
Those goddamn Astros. Yeah, I agree. I think that even with the improvements the Mariners have made to offset some potential regressions, I don't think it'll be enough to overcome Houston quite this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
They made some good ads, with Robbie Ray, the reigning American League Cy Young winner. Julio Rodriguez will be in the fold. Kellenic will be a positive impact player this season. Um, so that outfield's going to look good. Kyle Lewis could stay healthy, maybe. And then there's a lot to like about their infield, and obviously adding Jesse Winker. So that outfield is going to be, and then Mitch Haniger. I mean, like that outfield, that's going to be like so much better than it was last season, just with a cleaner bill of health and guys coming up. And just a lot of year of progress from the young guys. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not sure is it kind of unanimous here. Houston is going to remain on top.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is
Yeah.
for me.
All right, and is it also unanimous? Seattle's second.
No, I have the Angels in
I
second.
would say so.
All right,
I have the
I
Angels.
I would also go Seattle second. Link, what about you?
Yeah,
I'd
I'd probably go
say
Seattle.
the Mariners, kind of like what happened last year. They pick it up in the second half. They take second.
All right. As for third place, what are we?
Angels.
I'm also
I have
going to
the
say the
Angels.
I have
Angels.
Mariners.
And then I feel is fourth unanimously Texas and fifth unanimously Oakland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go to the AL Central. I mean, I feel like we should touch on the Angels just a little bit though, just because I feel like them, and we kind of touched on every team but them, and we kind of touched on every team in that division except them, just from like earlier parts. Maybe we didn't talk about Houston's roster that much, but
I feel like the Angels have a lot to hope for. It's just that team just seems like such a trap team every year. And I think they improve their rotation a lot, but again, you're relying on Noah Syndergaard, who has not been healthy in 2 years.
yeah.
And
He
barely
shoved today,
played in
man.
2 years.
He
He did
shoved
shove
today.
though. He has shoved recently. I will give him that. Michael Lorenzen, who's okay, and then Sandoval, Suarez, and Otani, of course. I'm almost such a moron. I think if some things fall their way finally, that probably looking at second place. It's just I don't know. For me, I got some hurdles to overcome. Call me a bit biased, of course, but I'm just not quite there yet.
No, I think you're right to like call them like that consistent trap team because they've done it so much.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm gonna just fall into the Angels trap, and the reason really is like they acquired guys I just like. That's basically it, right? Like Michael Lorenzen's a narrative guy.
There you go.
Red circles are good. Obviously, you determine who's good based on red circles, and Lorenzen has a lot of them, right? There just aren't a lot of. What happened?
He can certainly spin the ball and hit the ball hard. So as long as he can do those two things, he's
Bringing
going to
back
also be that
Iglesias.
two-way guy with Ohtani. So
Bringing back Iglesias was also pretty big, I would say. Love that.
Oh wait, I
Yes,
forgot they have Tyler
yes.
Wade. Never mind, they're gonna finish like last. Fuck them. Never mind. They have Tyler Wade.
But
Tyler
yeah.
Wade ruined my life. Did I tell you the story of how Tyler Wade ruined my life?
He ruined mine too.
We know the lore.
I hope I've told this story a lot. Good, because
wait. I thought you were talking about Talkman for a second.
No, Tyler Wade ruined my life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God, oh man, I hate that guy.
But yeah, I would say
He had so much value last year from just bunts. It was so funny.
But yeah, I would say, the Angels, lots of high upside. You gotta hope Trout and Ohtani are both healthy. Same with Rendon. But if all the pieces can click, yeah, the Angels can be a playoff team. It's just about all the pieces clicking and being in a tough division. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I hope both them and Seattle do jump Houston, but it's not something I'd be a betting man and bank on.
I get that.
But I guess now that we kind of talked about every team, because the thing, Texas really is the off-season moves. So, now we talk about the American League Central. So in first place, I have the White Sox. Any disagreements here?
White Sox. No.
No, even without Lance Lynn, like it would like so much has to go wrong, man.
And so much has to go right for second place.
Everyone, like I think the Twins have like an outside shot. I don't think the Tigers really have. I'm sorry, I don't want to I know Tigers fans. There's nothing really wrong with them. They're like a solid fan base, right? But the second best team in that division is the Twins. It's not the Tigers.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all in kind of unanimous agreement with the White Sox. But okay, second place is tough for me because there's arguments that second can be fourth and that fourth can be second. But in my second place, I'm gonna go with Minnesota. I think that you can argue the Tigers or the Guardians with their new name are viable at second place, but I think that I think it'll be the Twins.
I have the Twins.
No. I'll say the Twins. Guardians are just one of those teams who's really easy to project above what their win total, 50th percentile win total would be, like the Rays. So I'm tempted to say them, but I'll go with the Twins. I don't want to, deviate too much.
Link, how about you?
I have Minnesota.
All right. Third place. I think this is where we're going to finally see some disagreements. Who are we rocking with in third?
Going with the Tigers.
Cleveland.
Ooh, Cleveland. I forgot about Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland. Cleveland existed.
I'm gonna be the contrarian here. I'm a believer in Green. I'm a believer in Torque. I know they confirmed
Green's out for a few months though.
Wait, Green's out for?
Oh, he is hurt.
Yeah, because I think he broke his foot, right?
Wait, what? Wait, I need to look.
Let me check. I thought I saw him play against the Yankees.
Okay,
he starts fractured foot.
All right, all right, okay, yeah. Cleveland is third. So sorry. For
Tigers have a lot of good talent on that team. It's just they really got to put it together for me to really like them more than they should because there's just there's a lot of boomer. It's all boomer bust on that team. So
you gotta love AJ Hinch too. But
AJ Hinch is another plus. But
I think saying you've got to love him is a little much. I don't have to love that guy.
Well, okay, yeah, but
you broke my heart, man. It's not the I think Yankee fans are like, oh, I hate the Astros cheating. No, I hate because they beat the shit out of us for 3 times.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay, but yeah. I mean, you don't gotta love AJ Hinch, but you gotta appreciate the work he's done in Detroit and Houston, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think I was gonna say Detroit in third because of that, but now Riley Green's out. I'll go with the Guardians third. So in fourth place, I think we're all in agreement now that that's the Tigers.
Yeah.
Fourth.
Yeah.
Fourth,
No,
yeah.
fourth. I have the Royals.
I'm
Fourth,
going
I have the
fourth. I'm
Royals.
going
Royals.
Tigers.
Big Royals believer.
I
Big
don't know.
believer,
Royals
yeah.
have they have some sneaky talent, but it's built on like really unsustainable skills, and they just don't really have like the firepower the Tigers would to beat a fourth, fifth place kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm
Now-
feeling Tigers fourth.
Yeah.
I have the Royals because I mean Bobby Witt Jr. starting the season out, and I know I'm banking on a
Yeah.
prospect who even if they project well, like there is way
Well,
more
you're banking on
variance there.
Torkelson if you're the Tigers too, so it's kind of a two-way street.
Yeah, but they do have like established talent. Like J-Mer Candelario is pretty stable.
That is
at
true.
this
That
point.
is true.
Like I do
That's
trust
true.
him to be a good player at this point. I will say, like
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
believe
say,
I want to believe in the Carlos Santana RBW. I do want to believe in it.
You know a player that I believe is gonna break out on the Tigers. Speaking of it, he
Mhm.
was quality last year, but I can see a very big step forward for Akil Badu. I feel like his name should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude's gonna be pretty solid at
And
least.
all-
And Grossman, big Grossman guy.
and also Casey Mize as well. I would say I like Mize.
Those are probably the two X factors on that Tigers team for me.
Yeah,
I like Screwball on that Tigers team, but I will say, like, I think the Royals lineup has a chance to be pretty good. Like, not not good, like in terms of like their WRC plus, but I think they can be average in that department. Their base running is going to be really good, and that base running, like, it's going to count. Like last year, I'm just going to pull this up now, and pardon me for kind of being a little.
I think they're talking about Nicky Lopez's BSR.
Not just Nicky Lopez, but like the Royals were first in BSR last year. They had an 89 WRC plus, which is like bottom of the barrel type stuff. And yet, like I'm gonna double check exactly. WRC were 25th. They were able to outperform that spot in terms of offensive drafts. They're in a really mid ballpark and run scoring. I'm not saying they're going to score like 800 runs or anything like that next year, like some crazy amount, but I think they can get to like 15th in runs scored. And I'm not sure how the pitching's going to do. I don't know. I just like the Royals. Going to like them.
All right, and then Link, in fourth place you have.
I have the Tigers, and then the Royals in fifth.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'd have the Royals in fifth. Don't think that requires much debate, considering we already debated about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right.
Yeah, I don't think I feel strongly either way.
Now we have
Mhm.
the division of hell.
Oh,
We can all agree
Yeah.
on the fifth place team. I'd say being
Yeah.
Baltimore.
The Yankees.
oh wait, are we going? Oh wait, never mind. I'm a moron.
We're going to the American
No,
League. Yeah, so we can all agree.
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Baltimore one more for most certain.
But now I guess we'll go to the top. I feel to me that any of the four teams can win the division, but I think there's two that are particularly stronger than the other two. And those two to me are Tampa and Toronto. And I can go either way with who's gonna win the American League East. But to me, I know it's not always the best thing to go with. I think the Jays have the talent, but the Rays have the organizational structure. Not saying that the Jays are lacking in it, but the Rays have this insane organizational structure where everyone on that roster can contribute in every way, even if their star power isn't going to blow you away. And I think because of that, even with the rotation being depleted, I think cash ball is still going to be sufficient. I think that Franco is going to continue to take another step forward. I think you'll get more great outings from a Rosarena. I think so there will be some internal improvements as well. So I think for the Rays, I think they'll still come out on top. But where are you guys kind of on?
For
Who's gonna win
me,
the AL East?
I'm actually really in agreement with you, Salt. For me, it's a lot of what carries a team throughout the division or throughout the season is going to be how well they're able to overcome their adversity, not just the amount of star power they have. So you asked me, you're looking at these two teams right now, Tampa and the Jays, without any other factors involved. You're just looking at the 26-man, 40-man roster. And I'm seeing the Jays as a better team. However, you're looking at you factor in the context, you factor in what these two organizations, or what one of these organizations has been able to do these last few years, and that's just to handle with anything that comes their way. It's hard for me to debate against the Rays being in first place.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep
they're my pick.
overperforming. So, Lincoln Ryan,
Exactly.
where do you kind of fall? Who's going to win that AL East grinder?
Lincoln go first.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Do you know what? I'm going to be in disagreement with you. I think the Toronto Blue Jays will win the AL East, and I really think they just have the star power. I mean, they got the bats to do it. Vlad Guerrero's probably going to have another excellent season under his belt. I mean, I really like this Blue Jays team. Would have been better if they were able to, if they got, I swore for a day they were going to get Freeman. I swore for like one day after that Instagram post, but they.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Or even, yeah. Or like they still kind of have that second base. There's definitely things to do. Some questions with Biggio, but yeah. You know what? Go ahead.
I have the Jays winning the division too. I think last year, and I talked about this with Luke. I think last year skewed a lot of people to thinking like the Rays are always like going to overperform their projections by like 10 wins. And I don't think that's really a thing. I think last year was an anomaly. I really don't. I'm not saying the Rays are never going to overperform again, but like it's not like we have like a large sample size. Oh, the Rays overperform their win percentage by like a crap ton of points almost every single year. Like there are years where they severely underperform in the last few years. I believe it was 2016 they were projected to be really good and they were god awful, or 2015, one of those years.
Yeah.
Like I don't really think they're a team that's like they're gonna consistently overperform. I feel like this way about the Giants too, where it's like just because they did it last year doesn't mean it's gonna happen again, right?
Yeah.
And for that reason, the Rays rotation, like they do not have the rotation options that they had last year. They do not have a Shane Baz coming up, to replace someone who's hurt in the rotation, or Shane McClanahan. Like they don't have any of those type of guys coming back up, right? Those guys are there. Baz is out. Patino potentially could break out. I would not be like shocked if he did, but that's a guy where it's like okay. So the thing that's a thing that has to go right. Not sure if that is going to happen. Could, right? They're relying on Shereen.
Yeah.
Back from Tommy John, Kluber, who's not really going to get you through a full season. Smusen, no idea how he is as a starter full time. Baz already hurt. McClanahan's probably not going to get 8 innings, right? Like they just don't have starters that they had last year. Like, or I believe they have another guy who could come up. I forgot his name in AAA is actually pretty decent. I completely forgot his name, which is a problem.
Yeah. And like this is weird because, because it's kind of weird how I'm picking the Rays, because honestly I was saying this throughout last season, but like my belief was during the course of last season, and this can easily be the case again. To me, I thought that when you look at all the stats and such, the Jays should have won more, and that I thought, to me, outside of Houston, that there was a pretty solid argument that they could have been the class of the American League, and that can happen this year, but like I don't know. It like obviously it's them and the White Sox and obviously the Rays, and then obviously you can't count out Houston or someone else maybe getting into that. But it's like, to me, I feel like it's like you're talking about the Giants, and this applies to the Rays. Their coaching is so good that you can have guys that come in on maybe not as big samples as truly established starters, or guys that can platoon, and you can have a lot of success out of that. And like I said, the Rays, every guy on that roster, there's no one there that's filler. Everyone provides some sort of quality, whether that's their base running, their fielding, their bat, a combination of that, and their pitching. Whether no matter no matter the skill set, there's always going to be some positive qualities on the Rays, and to me, there's always that to like. But yeah, it's just that element for me that wants to bank on them, and just also a full season of Wander Franco as well. Um, but yeah, second place now. I don't know if any of us are we in the consensus? Like, do any of us have the Yankees or Red Sox like breaking up second, or is the team between the Rays and Jays that we didn't pick in first our second place for all of us?
I don't know. For me, it's like neck and
I
neck
do
with the
have the
Jays and
Yankees in
Yankees.
second.
So, no, don't worry about it, Ryan. For me, it's neck and neck between the Jays and Yanks second. And I kind of want to lean the Blue Jays, but really, it's so close, can be any man's game.
So you said Yankees in second, Ryan?
Yeah, I actually did. I think that the Jays are pretty comfortably better than the Yankees, but I guess I disagree in the sense that I think the Yankees are better than the Rays. Like that's a weird thing there. I guess. I guess I just believe the way I see the Yankees and Rays is the way Steven sees the Jays and the Yankees. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So if the Yankees finish second, I wouldn't be shocked. Yankees finish third, wouldn't be shocked. Yankees finish first, would be more shocked than if they finished third. Not like I hate the Yankees, like this team sucks. It's more like the Yankees are good, the Rays are good, but the Blue Jays I think are stacked and I don't understand how I'm going to get through that lineup consistently. And they have a lot more starters that are going to make 30 starts. Like there's a lot that they have that I just wish the Yankees had or that I think the Rays don't have. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And as for you, Link, I think I'll let you speak for yourself. I was about to say something.
Yeah, I have the Rays in second. You know, this team they just about kept everyone from last year. So
Yeah.
I mean, and last year was still a very well constructed team. And I don't see them. I kind of see them winning over 100 games despite finishing in second. That's just how I feel. The AL East is how stacked it is this year.
Yeah, I could honestly see both Tampa and Toronto go over 100, but I think the AL East is so good that they'll be like teams that should win 100 games, but they'll come short just because of that stiff competition. As for third, I think so Ryan, you'll go first since you kind of differentiated with the Yankees in second. I'm guessing Tampa in third, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Steven and Link, who are your third place picks?
The Yankees for me.
Yeah, it's the Yankees.
I'm also going to say the Yankees. So then I guess we're all in agreement here that Boston is number 4.
Yeah.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
don't think being the fourth best team in the AL East just takes away. I think it's just the circumstances. I think they're a well constructed team. I do think. I mean, I do like their infield, but at how it currently stands, I mean, they're going to be They're going to be competing for that second wild card slot. But
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. You said that you like your infield. And you're like, when I think of the Boston infield, I think of beautiful hitting and atrocious fielding because Bogarts is still at short.
That's based.
Yeah. So yeah, say what you're gonna say, Ryan.
What I was gonna say was, kind of piggyback off it's not the worst thing in the world to be the fourth best team in the American League East right now. The Red Sox be able to fill in a lot of their current holes right now in the near future, like first base, Bobby Dahlbeck, he hits the ball hard, that's great, but his plate discipline sucks. He's a butcher defensively. Tristan Casas to fix that potentially by midseason, right? So that's a whole fix, and I think Casas is a pretty safe prospect. First base prospect, big bat, not any plate discipline concerns that you have to be terrified about, right?
Yeah.
And then you have in the middle infield, right? York, Mayer, or is it Meyer? Is it Meyer?
Yeah. Well,
York and Meyer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait, they're thinking Meyer could already come up?
No, not soon. Not in the next year or so.
Oh, okay. I was kind of confused. But yeah.
I'm just saying, they're gonna have York. I think York probably could come up. No, I forgot to load. They have Casas, which is a massive advantage, right? Having Casas come up soon would be huge. It fixes a huge hole in the Red Sox.
Yeah.
I think giving Plawecki more playing time helps the Red Sox, right? If he gets more playing time, that could be pretty dope. They have, in their rotation, right? They have some issues, right? But they do have Connor Siebold, who's probably going to get a look at some point. struggled in play with his like peripherals. Like he had a good ERA, but his peripherals sucked. But maybe he figures something out. I know Brian Bayo only because of Sam Fetterman. He's got me into Brian Bayo. This is a guy who could definitely be a contributor either early next year or late this year. He's 22, gets a lot of strikeouts. That's cool. Like they're going to have prospects come up and fill in holes eventually. And that's going to be great for them. They're going to do all that stuff. And I think that's going to be fourth place in this year, going out and getting close to 100. They're not there right now.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess is that our kind of closing thoughts with the American League?
I would say so.
Yes.
I guess before actually going to the National League, do you want to do awards now, or do you want to do those in conjunction with?
We
the
could do them
National
after. Save
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
All right. So the National League West, for in first place, I'd assume we all agree that the Dodgers are retaking that title from San Francisco. That
Yeah.
had it not been for last season, they'd be going for 10 years running. Jesus Christ, getting close to 10 years running.
Let's be real here. They basically won the division. They beat them in the playoffs. They won the division.
Yep.
They won the division last year.
We did.
They won the division. Like that's like I'm sorry. It's like I'd be so upset as a Dodgers fan. Like I'd be like I could have like the whole we won the division 10 years in a row thing, but the Giants decided to win a division and then get kicked, and then losing the playoffs to us. Like you're the division title champions. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like you can have your regular season championship, but we'll always remember that we took you out in the postseason when it came down to
Right.
it.
Like I would take the postseason win like by far. I think everyone would rather take the postseason win than the division.
Of course. I just wanted to mention that. Like, of course, yeah. We got the ultimate victory over them in the end. Ultimately, that playing in that wild card game did kind of lead to our downfall in the NLCS, though. But that's another story. I would say that okay. So Lincoln Steven, you said so as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dodgers for me.
Dodgers, okay.
Doyers, baby, Doyers.
Yep. Cody Bellinger is going to be back. Just wait. Second place. This is interesting. Where do you guys kind of lean here?
I feel like I'm on my team. Like I might come off as a hypocrite for saying this, but I'm gonna lean the Padres here, just
Same.
because I think their talent, like at the big league level right now, is really far ahead of San Francisco. And I know I said with the Rays, my thing was like that big condition. You know how they're able to handle a lot of adversity better than most other teams throughout the year. And I think San Francisco's in a similar boat. It's just I don't know. They haven't established that as well. I'd like to see more of it. I guess I'd like to be more confident in saying that. At least confident enough to say that they'll be able to outpace the Padres their natural progression, because boy did they were not a below 500 team last year, no matter what you think.
Yeah.
And also, like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the Padres get second.
All right.
Go on.
Ryan. All right.
Yeah. And dude, it had like there's nowhere rotation that has like what Chris Paddock is like their 7th starter, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way that rotation doesn't work. Like I'm sorry, like Clevenger, Musgrove, who I adore more than I should. I'm blanking. Darvish, I'm still blanking. Oh my, Snell and Manaea is a ridiculous rotation. Like that's unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Like if Blake Snell's your 5 starter, that's unreal. Like I'm sorry. Like people can say, they can try to pretend like that's not a good rotation, but it's a very good rotation.
I'd say Musgrove
the bullpen gets more depth.
Right?
Yeah. And they don't have like the best ace situation in the world, but they have like a lot. They basically filled the rotation with like a bunch of 2 starters. That's what they essentially did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it.
And that's great, right? That bullpen gets better because they can put Paddock and Lamet in there.
Oh my god.
They got Luke Voigt.
Lamet having a limited workload. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Like,
it's gonna be good for him.
yeah.
And they'll have Voigt DHing. I love Voigt, big Voigt guy. I want to stay healthy. Put up a 125 to 130 WRC plus. I love Luke Voigt. Wish him the best out there. They couldn't get rid of Hosmer. That really sucks for them because honestly, getting rid of Hosmer and only giving up Paddock, right? Like, and Emilio Pagan, like that would be like the biggest fucking win ever for the Padres. Like that's literally like nothing to them. They lose nothing of value to them at least.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Paddock sucks. I think Paddock is going to be a solid starter, but like he's not helping them as much as he would have minus Manaea.
Yeah. And I think with the Padres, once again, they are, to me, they are the talented team. I'm gonna and to me, I love that rotation. However, I think that the Giants themselves also have assembled like a very insane rotation. You're talking Logan Webb, who I think is the best pitcher between the two teams, and I hate to say it, he might be the best pitcher in the division. I could absolutely see him take, some awards for his pitching at the end of the year. Obviously, they added Cobb. They lost Gosman, but Cobb is a good ad. They get Rodon, who's a really good ad. And obviously, you still have, I think, Wood and DeSclafani both stayed. And, those are solid guys. And obviously, the back end isn't as strong as the Padres back end. But that front end, you can, by the end of this season, I could see, you're talking the three frontline starters. I could see the three frontline starters being better in San Francisco than in San Diego. And there's still durability questions with Rodon, but outside of that, there's much less durability questions with San Francisco's rotation than there is San Diego's. Now, like you said before, they can count on Lamet, they can count on Paddock possibly should those come in, but yeah. And I think when I'm picking San Francisco, the difference between second and third for me, and I think they'll be separated by fine margins, is that I think missing Tatis for about a month or two is going to cost the Padres finishing second over the Giants.
That's fair. Yeah, the Tatis injury is definitely a big, it feels like a lot could continue to go wrong for them, and that kind of does them in. But
yeah,
I'll try to somewhat believe that that won't happen to them.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously there are some
they have enough to survive around it. I would say
there are positives. You could hope for some Cronenworth to look more like he did in the first half of last year. You could hope for some Grisham to be healthier, and with that have some of his power back, and the glove will always be there for him. But yeah, and I got so wait, Ryan, who did you say was second?
I have the Padres.
Okay, all right. So I guess now third, I'm the only one.
Giants and Padres.
Yeah, it's just the flip. It's just I guess it's all flipped from before, right?
Neither would realistically shock me.
Yeah, and then now fourth, do we go with the Rockies or the D-backs?
Not the most fun thing to have to do.
Shout out my dog Heat Check. We're going with the Diamondbacks.
I too
honestly.
Oh, go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, no, you guys go, because this is really close for me too.
I too feel the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte. That's it. That's the end. Link. How
yeah, and
I don't know. Probably the D-backs.
I'll just be the antagonist. I'll go with the Rockies. I don't know. Rockies, they got enough to surprise you, I would say. And the Diamondbacks, they'll sell again. I mean, so will the Rockies, but the Diamondbacks are really gonna they're really gonna sell. So
yeah.
Steve, that's an outrageous take. Honestly, I can't understand how you could pick. No, I'm joking. No, but you're right. You know what? You're right there. The Rockies are probably going to suck and then take their very good players and keep them or extend.
And they might even buy. Honestly, they'll do nothing at the deadline. I feel like they might just scrap some relievers, but they did with Michael Gibbons. But who cares?
And the Diamondback, well, the Diamondbacks don't even have much. Like, maybe Luke Weaver is going to get dealt. Like, Luke Weaver might be a guy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he figures it out. He seems like a nice guy.
But they'll be very motivated to sell again, of course, because they're still in rebuild mode. So I'm gonna go with the Rockies. I don't know. I'm feeling them.
And then,
All
all
right.
right, now we go Central again. And in first place, we have the.
I have the Brewers by quite a wide margin, I would say. I think they'll only win like 90 games, but they're up there. They're the top for me.
I too think the Brewers.
I actually
because-
have the Cardinals.
So yeah, for me, the thing about the Cardinals though is that Flaherty is gonna be. I think he's hurt again already, right?
Yeah.
Like this, I don't like their rotation is so nasty, and I know that the Brewers are like the antithesis. They have that good rotation, and the hitting is just like really bad. And I've heard about some concerns about Woodruff. Just he wasn't very good in spring training, and post tack ban, he kind of regressed as well. But I still think he'll be great though. I mean, I can see the case that maybe like Peralta has stronger season. Like that, I don't think he's the better pitcher right now, but I think that's like a possibility. Obviously Burns is the ace, but yeah, I think the Brewers are the team that, to me, I think they're the ones that are going to take the division. I don't think either team is particularly great. Kind of opposite each other in certain weak points, but ultimately, I think the Brewers are, built, over that 162 game stretch. I think, obviously there's the injury element that I think could be more catastrophic for them, but they've also been very good at having like limiting their, how keeping their arms fresh. So I think it'll be them. As for, uh,
I don't want to hear Ryan's argument for the Cardinals because I feel like we'll talk about this more in a little bit. But I want to hear his first place argument here.
So essentially where my argument comes from is like, I really think their lineup's going to be really, really good. Like, I really believe in that lineup a lot. Maybe more than I should. Like, I think the number one thing I really like about that lineup is that they're going to have a lot of, like, they have a lot to work with. I would have loved, like, Reese McGuire, I felt like would have been perfect for them. I, like, feel like that would have been, like, number one perfect thing. But, they didn't do that. It's whatever. I don't really love the Brewers lineup. I don't know how their pitching is going to hold up in terms of volume over a full season. And I don't know if they have the records. Like, they're very top heavy rotationally, which I think is a fine thing if we're like 2 starters who are extremely durable or 3 starters who are extremely durable. But like, am I sure is Peralta really going to be there for 150 innings? He hasn't crossed that threshold ever in his career. Not sure about that. Is Burns going to get me 170, 180 innings? I'm not sure about that. Is Woodruff going to get me 180 innings? Again, not sure about that. Like, these are guys who have, like, Woodruff's most innings is 179 and that was last year. Hasn't topped that ever in his career, right? Like, yeah. I don't know if they're going to hold up. And this isn't to say, their rotation is not better than the Cardinals. Like, their rotation's 1,000 times better than the Cardinals. It's not even close, right? But I do think, like, on a per rate basis, it's not going to be crazy different for them to, like, be 1,000 times, like, for them to win the division. Whereas I think the Cardinals are going to be a lot better position player wise in terms of their wins above replacement.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, it can go either way for me. It can go either way for me. Like, one day you could definitely catch me saying, yeah, I think the Cardinals will win it, but yeah, it's close. So, as for second, I assume this is like before whoever we didn't pick in first, between the two teams, those two teams we have in second, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals in second. Although I think I don't know. I think this might be a relatively hot take, but I think they're at least as close to the Cubs as they are the Brewers. Spoiler alert for my third place team, by the way. For me, the Cardinals, their lineup is really good, but their pitching is just terrible. Like, it is really, really bad. And if you look, and their defense is really good. I'm not going to deny this, but defense is not nearly as strong a part of run prevention as pitching is. And I think a lot of people are going to overrate their defense and kind of just ignore the pitching side of that needs to
Maybe
come here too. And the same thing happened last year. Like they still had a really good lineup last year, but they were middling for a lot of the season until guess what? The guys that got the deadline became good pitchers and they were able to make that huge run.
I was
So
gonna say
I think they're like a mid 80 win team. I think they have a lot to work with in the lineup. It's just the pitching. They really need a lot there.
I
Like
was
they
gonna say
really gonna need a Hail Mary.
I was gonna say because you were talking about what did you say? Like I just lost track. What would you say right before their deadline acquisitions?
It was like I know it was Lester and J.A. Happ, right? J.A.
You
Happ.
talked about before something you said before the deadline acquisitions.
Oh, like pitching is a bigger part of run prevention.
Oh,
than defense.
yeah. I was gonna say I wouldn't say it gets. I would say it gets overrated in value, but not in stature. If you get what I mean, like
Right.
like it will still be a definitively elite run preventing defense. It just I think the effect of an elite run defending defense can get overstated, which you know
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Like their defense, I'm not saying their defense is overrated. I'm saying the value of defense is overrated, and I think that's gonna that's what people are talking about with them right now.
because this might be kind of this is a bit of a hot take, but to me, I feel like the big thing with defense in baseball, as it stands right now, obviously elite defense is always welcome, but it's always felt like, at least especially within the outfield, it's been more about not being dog shit than it is being great. So
I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand that.
so yeah anyways, yeah, so that's the the NL that's the
Top two of the NL
top two of
Central.
the NL Central. So third place.
Cubs. Yeah.
I was
I don't know.
originally
I don't know whatever happened with this and Pirates are pretty close thing because I think the Pirates are well behind us. But I'm not
I
gonna.
was gonna say
I'm not. I don't mean to be arrogant. If anyone thinks the Pirates are better than us, I'm just not a big fan of it.
LFG Cubs, baby.
I was gonna say
Mm.
going into January. I was thinking, maybe it could be, but then as I see, the Pirates are considering trading Reynolds and they send Cruz down, and yeah, no, it's the Cubs. It's definitely the Cubs.
They don't really have much to work with in general. I mean, they just have some good, like Reynolds is good, but I don't want to talk. We'll save this for the Pirates. But yeah, no. So let's talk about the Cubs.
So
Cubs, third place.
third place,
Yeah.
Reynolds, we're talking about great, but now the Cubs just made the additions to definitively be better. Suzuki, Stroman. You're gonna have internal progressions. You're gonna see some prospects that called up throughout the year. You're gonna see,
They finally have a backup catcher too. Kind of an underrated thing. We don't have the Tony Walters, Jose Lobaton
Hey man,
nasty platoon going on.
and then
I
obviously,
I would say respect Walters, but
Oh yeah.
but I would say obviously, you're gonna have guys like shoot. I think the outfield's a lot better. I think Ian Happ, I think he'll have a true he wasn't he better in the second half last year?
He was really good in the second half, really bad in the first half.
I think that you're going to see Ian Happ's results stabilize over a full season and be something like the second half because, 2019, 2020, and then that second
He's
half
had a
last
weird
year.
trajectory. Yeah.
I think Happ will be good. I think he'll be better than, than I think his stock is currently now. Horner's good, Madrigal's good. I like the quality that's on the Cubs, and so yeah, it's not there to, I'd say, overtake the Cardinals. It's not there to overtake the Brewers, but it's there to be, I would say, a team that can push 500, which I think is a good. I think
Yeah.
that's good for what you could ask for right now.
Exactly.
Also-
Yeah. No, go for it, Ryan.
I was gonna say, Wilson Contreras had a 122 WRC plus and a 93.5 exit velocity post crackdown. I have that just tweeted because in case the Yankees ever traded for him.
Oh,
you know.
really? I did not know.
I had
that.
it
That's nice.
tweeted just because of that. But yeah, he's probably gonna start hitting the shit out of the ball again. Now that he won't have to deal with, the very unfair advantage of disrespectful losers cheating the sport of baseball.
Yup.
Amen. I think for me the big thing with the Cubs is I think their pitching right now is looking better than their hitting. And don't get me wrong, pitching is a lot of question marks, but they have a lot of depth in their bullpen. They have a lot of guys in their minor league system who I'm not going to bore you with that they could call up midseason that could show up. They have options, more options than they did last year, which is they were still able to carry that up until the deadline and get some good returns. But I digress.
Yeah.
The big thing for them is just that lineup, making sure it's playable. Because if it's going to prove, some of the guys are not going to be very good, you're not going to get very far. But if it could be adequate, again, a lot of this it's kind of the same thing with the Cardinals and Brewers. I would say, Cardinals obviously have significantly more talent than us, and they did last year. But you look at the Brewers. Not much to work with last year. They became a decent offense, and they were able to and they won the division. So that's their big X factor.
A guy that I think could progress next year with the Cubs. I really like Alzai as a guy that can take another step forward.
Bad news. Salt. Alzai's out until like May or June.
Crap.
Yeah, he's on the 60-day.
Why?
Yeah, I was quite upset. That's why they got Drew Smiley. They have Drew Smiley to replace his spot in the rotation now.
Alec Mills it is.
Yeah, it's Alec Mills. It's the RBW.
The Alec Mills show. Alec Mills.
For real.
All right.
Also, go ahead.
Yeah, that was all I had to say. If we want to talk about the Piratas now.
We have just to confirm, we all have the Pirates fourth and the Reds last, right?
Yeah.
Link?
That's what I got.
Yes.
Okay. The Pirates are a team that is sailing a ship in which direction I have no idea, because I don't know. I feel like the value of Brian Reynolds is really weird, because I feel like I think he's a piece that you can trade for. And I know the Padres are willing to engage and very smart. I just don't know if the pieces that I would want back are the ones from the Padres. If it's for fucking Reynolds, I feel like he's a guy that you should keep and build around. But I also don't think he's as untouchable as some Pirates fans would lead you to believe he is.
Yeah, for sure.
Like obviously, there are guys that said I wouldn't take Julio Rodriguez for Reynolds. I would take Julio Rodriguez for Reynolds.
I would take Julio Rodriguez for almost anyone.
Yeah,
I would. If I was the Mariners, I wouldn't even think about offering J-Rod for anyone.
Yeah, exactly. He's an untouchable piece, and to me, it's like I understand that Reynolds is proven and he's elite, but J-Rod, come on. But
yeah,
I think there are adequate guys to look for, and that you could build packages around Reynolds for in the future. Obviously, there are going to be teams that can do it. I think the Rays, they have the farm to do it. I think the Dodgers have the farm to do it. And the Padres definitely have guys that you could look at and go, yeah, it's possible. Robert Hassel, he could be part of that. Maybe you add Abrams in, but to me, I'm just not sure.
I think the difference. No, go for it. I'll finish
the thing is though, for me, with the exception of Hassel, I don't like the idea of trading Reynolds, because the Padres prospects right now are at their lowest stock wise.
Yeah, I think for me, you're looking at the Pirates versus the Cubs again. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to be incessant about it. Cubs are looking at a team that if they perform better than expected, could make a playoff spot. Pirates are looking at a team with the players perform better than expected, and fetch you a really solid haul at the deadline. And I think those differences in mentality is what's kind of going to separate them. And I think they show in how they spent too. Pirates got some okay guys, but nothing too good. Their top talent is always going to be there. Reynolds, Cruz going to show up eventually. Hayes.
Brian Hayes.
It's just the makings of a fourth place team. I think their contending status is inching closer and closer, but right now, I think they've clearly taken their stance as we're getting closer, guys, but still not quite there.
Yeah, the Pirates of old, those teams that we're not going to see the Pirates bottom out like they did in 2020, and what a convenient time to bottom out that was.
Exactly.
But Ryan Hayes, he's going to take a step forward as a hitter. He was the best defensive third baseman in the National League last season by DRS, if I remember correctly.
I could check again, but wouldn't surprise me.
And then obviously you have, and actually, as much as I dislike staff for infielders because of how harshly it treats them and how everyone's in the negatives, I think he had the best OAA too. Which I mean, that has to say something to just even have a positive one as a infielder.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say you have keep Bryant. I think Cruz will start the year down, get called up in good old service time manipulation, and I think he'll be excellent. I don't think he'll be as good as some are saying in terms of his stature, not his standing, not his production, but his stature. Like I don't think he'll be a top 10 shortstop out of the gate, but I think he can be like that 110, 115 WRC plus with that with a lot of power out the gate. But I don't think
it's pretty reasonable.
I think his defense at short could use some improvement though. I don't think it'll be great out of the start. I think it'll be good in the long run, but could be like Tatis where the struggles are there the rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the Pirates, they traded away their catcher too. They're like what's his name? Stallings, yeah, and he was pretty good to have. And obviously, there's quality in that position in the long run, especially with Henry Davis. But that's kind of a loss there because he's a guy, you kind of want him guiding some of the young pitchers that could get called up.
He's very pluggable, pluggable. Veteran for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. And as for last place, we have
Reds.
Reds who
They suck.
Another sell-off.
Like what's left there? Just Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray. Like was he?
Gray's gone. Gray's gone.
Where'd-
Went to Minnesota.
Okay, that's
They had like him and Malley, and then if you like really like Hunter Green,
And Jonathan India.
And Jonathan
India, and then
So hopefully Lodolo. Ray San Martin too. I like Ray San Martin.
Dude, I had a dynasty league
honestly,
I had a dynasty league going where I had Green and Lodolo. I'm waiting in the wings, and now it doesn't look like there's going to even be a season for it because the commissioner he fell asleep, man.
The Reds have enough prospect talent to if you really, really like if you really sell high on their prospects, I could definitely understand you put them in fourth place. It's just I don't know. Their team right now is really bad, and you're asking a lot for prospect performances.
I just don't know why they sold, man. They really didn't have to. They could have just gotten like a shortstop, and
they sell and buy at the weirdest times.
Like they have. You think about it.
Worked out decently for them in retrospect, but still.
Like their pitching staff isn't even like at least the rotation. Rotation really isn't bad. Like it's not terrible, right? Like I've seen worse. Like considering that they traded Sonny Gray,
it's pretty decent.
I've seen like far worse rebuilding rotations. All right.
The thing about the Reds is that they're similar to a team in the National League East that I'm going to talk about in a bit. They were only able to really build for the most part. There's exceptions like Jonathan India and the pitching that they developed. But in that lineup, they had to buy a lot of that lineup because, let's be honest now, a lot of those top prospects that they were going to rely on to be centerpieces of a team that should have been a competitive core from like 2018 onwards, 2019 onwards. I think actually would be the better statement. Nick Senzel, for example, they just
didn't pan out.
They didn't pan out. And that's quite unfortunate for them. That farm system it just didn't work. And obviously, guys like Green and Lodolo, there's a lot of promise with them, and that can be a start. They can build a rotation up, but they're going to have to reconstruct their lineup. They're going to have to remodel the outfield, find the shortstop. Eugenio Suarez fell off a cliff.
Then they traded him.
Yeah.
Just a weird team.
The Reds...
they have a really weird team.
Like I said, with the Reds, it's just a big matter of, oh man, these guys that you thought were going to be good, they just didn't pan out. That's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically.
like you look at the top prospects from like what 2017. I'm just looking and
It just didn't work.
yeah,
Senzel, Trammell,
yeah,
Trammell, Green, a lot of weird names on there. I mean, I don't know if Green's even on there because I think he was drafted in 2017.
Yeah.
yeah.
If I
Definitely,
remember Dawson right, the next the what did he compare? I don't even know. He's like the two-way star or something.
yeah.
That clickbait.
So yeah, it's just in the end, like yeah, it just it didn't work, and now I think the Reds they've made, I would say, a wise decision to just call it quits on this window. Look, it's not gonna happen. Rebuild now. Well, I would say, the Pirates are gonna build up. I think as for the Brewers, I mean the Brewers and the Cardinals, you never know how truly long those windows will go. And yeah, you could say, well, the Cubs and the Pirates are also rebuilding. The Cubs and the Pirates are moving. They're building? They're going on the up right now. You can take a few years when you're on the down. I'd say, as much as it would suck with that
Yeah.
long playoff drought. But
Yeah.
I guess we can move on to the East now. And in
Sounds
first
like a plan.
place, we have the
Well,
Braves.
Braves.
yeah.
Would
With
have
the
said might have said the Mets before all the madness happened, but yeah, confidently Braves now.
yeah, I don't know how long Acuna will miss, but yeah, it's the Braves. Because of those Mets injuries. Link, if you want to talk about the Braves a bit, go ahead by all means.
And yeah, this is. I mean, like I said, we are. This was a team last year that didn't really. I mean, we had two not like pretty nasty injuries to begin the year, and then we had to bounce back after the All Star break. Make a lot of moves at the deadline. And you know what? I mean, I think a big question, just like last year, I was not. I'm. It's a big. I mean, I think the hitting is there, right?
Yeah.
Don't doubt that. There's a lot of great hitters on the Braves, but bullpen is just. I just don't know about. I mean, we have. I mean, we did sign. God, what was his name? He was a Dodger. Remind me who it was.
Jansen.
Kenley
You
Jansen.
can probably.
Kenley Jansen.
Yes. Good addition, but it's just everything. Just I'm just not really confident in anyone else in that bullpen. Sure, I mean Tyler Madzik was like really good in the postseason, but other than that, oh god.
Yeah.
And
I think the bullpen. I don't think the Braves have many weaknesses. I don't think they have many like super strengths. But they're just a solid team. Like they're not like you cannot really. They're kind of like the Padres in that sense. Like they're just a really solid team
Yeah.
all
And
around.
Without the things that go horrifically wrong.
yeah, as a matter of fact, I would
Yeah.
say that instead of it going horrifically wrong for them, the Braves just make it happen to their rivals.
Yeah.
Like like
right.
what? Like DeGrom, Scherzer, and then even some of the more non-threatening ones, you're talking about like Strasburg, and I think Sixto was out all year hurt.
Sixto's still
Oh
hurt.
yeah. He hasn't even graduated from prospect eligibility, and he made his debut in like 2019.
It's so sad too, because like I really do think Sixto would be like a really good pitcher.
Dude, he
Yeah.
owned us in the playoffs. No, he's insane.
And like I mean I don't speaking of like pitchers out for a long time. Link, what's the status on Soroka for this season?
I think he's like a non-guaranteed contract, but it's like up to like $7 million.
Right.
Soroka really came into the league at the wrong time, because if he came in like 2020, 2021, I think people would be debating him as like a potential top 30 starter. But he got so much hate because he was like a big overperformed expected stats guy, even though he was like a really big seam shifted wake dude. Like that was his claim to fame. Just came around before the ideas were really popular. So we couldn't appreciate him. Hopefully we can still.
Yeah.
Good team though.
But yeah, I mean, hey, I think the ace of that rotation that going forward, I think Ian Anderson will take it from Fried, honestly. But yeah,
Really?
yes, I'm not a huge Max Fried guy, to be fair, but I do like Anderson a lot. I honestly kind of like Morton more too. With
Yeah, I think Morton's the best pitcher in that staff.
Yeah, it's a solid staff though.
Yeah.
once again, it's like the
So
Padres, like you said. There's no true ace on the team that could have been what Soroka could be. I don't know, but lots of quality to boast about, and like I said, I think Steven also said this earlier. Had the Mets been fully healthy, I would have leaned on saying, yeah, this is the team that's going to take the East. But I think with all the injuries and
Yeah,
such, it's the Braves. But I guess now
yeah,
we go to second place. Is
I have
that
the Mets.
I think it's going to be the Mets. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. I think it'll be the Mets, but I don't know. I have a hard time counting out the Phillies because they really went out on offense this year, like really, really went out. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Mets have got a really good all around team. Even though Marquez like obviously going to regress, like they have some obvious question marks.
Even with
They have a solid team.
regression
I
from
think I think
Marte,
they'll be able to hit second
that's
place.
still an upgrade that was worth acquiring. But yeah,
Yeah, they'll be able to hit second place.
yeah,
So we have the Mets at second
yep. So
and Phillies third.
yeah, I would say
Yeah.
the Phillies are third, and they were kind of like the Reds in a way, where a lot of their farm just did not work out, and that I think,
Yeah.
and that's the difference between the Phillies kind of peddling the mediocrity they have, um, versus outright being a postseason team. But unlike the Reds, the Phillies have been able to, spend their way. They have the big enough
Yeah,
market to keep spending their way to remain somewhat competitive. Obviously,
the Phillies like the rare team that is able to that has spent their way out of a hole like that. Like they're the
Yeah.
rare team that's able. I mean, obviously Real Muto trade. Who was around by the way when Sixto Sanchez was a Philly, because that just is crazy to think about right now.
yeah, and
But like but they've been able to spend their way out of a hole, and they did it again this offseason. Like they got crazy returns on Wheeler, crazy return on Harper, um great return on Real Muto.
yeah,
And they're hoping to go get hit again with Castellanos and
and
Schwarber,
Schwarber,
which granted,
yeah.
I mean, they probably will be able to do that.
Yeah, and they're just gonna try to, like you said, hit their way to victory. Hopefully, have those two starters like anchor the pitching, and it'll be an interesting year. I just don't really love. Obviously, the Phillies are a top heavy team, and I think that probably hurts them, and that will put the Mets ahead because I think Scherzer and Degrom are both. At worst, it's going to be maybe like a month, which granted, it's a lot, and that
Okay,
was
Grom, it'll be longer, but for Scherzer, I don't think it'll be that long.
okay.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
but yeah, like we'll see what happens, but it'll be an interesting battle there. But yeah, obviously the Phillies are going to have a generationally bad defense, which that's a concern. Especially for God help Aaron Nola, like I said, but I think for me with the, I'm just trying to like get my thoughts. Like you said though, unlike the Reds, they've been committing to just keep spending to somewhat remain competitive. The farm system that they boasted about. Guys like J.P. Crawford not even on the team. Alec Boehm has he's kind of been in doubt, and then Reese Hoskins has had his ups and downs. You know, lots of different things in Philly, and for them, they just gotta hope it clicks into a postseason berth, but who knows? And then as for fourth place,
I
who
got the Marlins.
I too got the Marlins in fourth.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
They're a good team. Not a good team, but like they're like in comparison to the Nationals, they're better.
Their pitching's good enough to
I
boost
think
the
Yeah.
their
I think
pitch.
they're just better than the Nationals.
The Nationals obviously they're gonna be missing Strasburg a lot again. I just don't. The Nationals have those like talents like Soto and Keibert Ruiz who are going to be awesome. But I think the Nationals, the time to talk about the Nationals starting to, being winning games again, even if it's not like in like to a crazy extent. That's next year and the year after when you're going to see the likes of House, up. Maybe we'll see some success out of Key Boom this year. and Garcia and Robles, we'll see guys progress, but yeah, like I think for the Nationals, it's going to be I'd say a strong like I like their rebuild, but yeah, it won't be the Marlins. They're in a stronger state right now. Love the rotation. Unfortunate that Sixto isn't healthy. I think they'll have some internal progression from the bats. You'd like to see more, but it's a good start. Chisholm, I think, will take another step forward. Jazz and yeah. So that's
basically.
and at least we all are in unison. Um,
Mm-hmm.
us so-called free thinkers.
Yeah, but before spring training start, I think we would be a lot more out of sync when
Oh,
it comes to who wins the NL East.
yeah, I agree. The injuries have definitely put it out of whack.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the time missed by Scherzer and DeGrom, it feels like the Braves are coming back for that postseason. Berth
Yeah.
and yeah. Anyways,
There it is.
awards time. So, who is who is the pick here for the MVPs of both leagues?
I have for the AL, I'm going to go with Jose Ramirez, and for the NL, I'm going to go with. I was going to go with Tatis, but he got hurt, so I'll go with Juan Soto or Trey Turner. I don't know, some side down yet.
I could definitely see it be like Soto deserves it because he's the best, but then Turner wins because he's on a playoff team and voters love that.
I also think Turner is just like a really good WAR guy.
Oh,
like he's going to be really good for WAR.
Oh yeah, obviously. I don't disagree. I'm just saying that like
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Though.
yeah. For me, I also think Soto will win the National League MVP. I mean, I've been picking him for a bit. I think he should have won it last season. Um not that Harper was like undeserving. I just think it would have given to Soto, but I like I like I mean yeah, I like Soto for this. And then in the American League, I'm kind of divided because I Jose Ramirez. I'm gonna go with three names that I like a lot, and I'm gonna stay away from like the obvious candidates that play on the Angels and and Vladdy. I'm gonna stay away from those guys, not because I don't think they can't win it, but because I kind of want to go with something different. I want to go with something different. So Jose
Yeah.
Ramirez is a name. Another name I like, but I'm not feeling it this term is Luis Robert. But the name that I absolutely feel like I'm very confident that he can absolutely do it. I'm gonna go with Wander Franco.
That's a great pick.
Good pick there, yeah.
Yes.
I will. I'll hit it next. Yeah, sorry. So I thought you were gonna dive in there. AL is so hard for me. National League, I'm also gonna go Juan Soto. Just I mean, he's not the flashiest pick. I think just because of last year. I guess I'm saying that, but raw stats wise, he's the guy. There's no debate about that. AL, there's a little bit more to be said. I think you could go with like an Ohtani or a Trout pick, but I don't know. It's a little bit boring. I don't think Ohtani will be as good as he was last year. Trout's got the health question mark, of course. I'll go with another sleeper just to continue assault, just because I'm really just don't really want to go with like a obvious candidate. I think Bregman could come back and kind of take it back. I think when we saw him healthy last year, he didn't really miss much of a beat play discipline wise, and I know he's also managed some injuries this year, but in a full campaign, I think if you're looking at some of the power back, I think you're going to look at the improved plate discipline. He's a guy who could hit it back in the running.
And that's also speaking of like American League West and Angels. That could also play in Rendon's favor as well, possibly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being just a clean bill of health. And how about you, Link? Who are you gonna rock with in both leagues?
National League, I'm gonna go with Juan Soto. American League, I think I'm gonna pick Guerrero Jr. And last year, of course, I think he came in second behind Otani, which, of course, how are you going to follow up that? But I think this year could be different.
Yeah, that's fair. And now we did that. The Cy Young, obviously another just another one. I think, when picking the Cy Young, that's going to be a really tough one. And the National League is really opened up because you can't just go default to DeGrom now. Like there's some competition for that award, and there's some guys that there's some mainstay picks. You can go Corbin Burns. You can go as much as people have been down on him as there's obviously Walker Bueller, Zach Wheeler, the reigning Cy Young winner. But then there are guys that you could sleep on, like that are depending on the crowd, are kind of slept on, like Alcantara, that can win it. Obviously, but to me, I think that I want to go, and I hate putting his name in as my pick, but I feel like I think Logan Webb is gonna win it. Um, as for the American League, it's kind of tough because, but because there are a lot of guys that can win it, and and I almost want to say Shane Bieber, and I know I've been saying that he's gonna win the last few years, and it's like foolish to keep picking it, but I feel
I mean,
like,
he's a great pick.
but no, not Shane Bieber. The guy I'm about to say is, I feel foolish picking him when he just hasn't
Oh,
been able to
okay.
do it. But I feel like this is where Garrett Cole finally gets his due and wins it.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Anyone who wants to go
Yeah, of
next?
course, Ryan's gonna be down. All right, I'll
Yeah.
go, I guess. This is also a tough pick because pitching is just so volatile year to year. Hitters, you can, barring major injuries, you can kind of get which ones are going which way. But pitchers is just impossible. I guess I'll start NL. NL kind of feeling Sandy this time around. I don't know. Maybe I think the big difference between him and Wheeler got a lot of consideration last year, is just how the game's moving. I think no one's watching the Marlins. More people are watching the Phillies, but I think they're pretty similar. They both get heavy innings, and they both
Which
carry
player?
gas deep in those innings. Alcantara. I'm comparing Alcantara and Wheeler here.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that now the Marlins have more to work with, and I think now they have more emerging pieces, they're going to get more eyes on them, and I think now they're going to get more eyes on them. You're going to see Sandy finally reach into that, top Cy Young conversation. I just feel like once he's in there, any man's pick at that point. So I'm going to go Sandy for the NL. AL is a lot trickier, just because the names there, there's a lot to go off of. Cole's obviously a fantastic pick, but everything is just bouncing around. So I don't know. For me, I am kind of feeling. Let me decide through my top list here. You know what? I'll go Cole too, honestly, because he's the best option in that league, I would say. There's really there's kind of him, and then there's like a second tier of dudes
Yeah.
who are all vying.
I
So I'm gonna go
I
Cole
I
too.
feel like this is like a weird comparison, but like I would say it's like there's a kind of a difference with like the American National, like with a hypothetical healthy DeGrom, right? Like it's DeGrom versus the field, and the better bet is DeGrom. But then with the American League, I would say it's Cole versus the field, and while the field is overall a better bet than Cole, Cole is still the favorite kind of deal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll keep it short here. I got Burns and Cole. I just think they're like they're just really freaking good at baseball, right? And
Fair
that's
enough,
just
yeah.
I don't think there's any other way I could put it, right? Two
Yeah.
really freaking good pitchers, and I'm picking them to win Cy Young.
Yeah. Link, how about you?
I think Cole is going to be a pick for my AL. The NL, it is kind of hard for me to pick the NL with like DeGrom being a big question mark this year on how active he's going to be. It's honestly a coin toss between Wheeler or Burns for me in the NL. Really is.
Heads or tails?
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, hey,
Uh,
good picks.
heads or tails?
I don't have one with me. Eeny, meeny, miny. Gonna go Burns here.
All right.
Nice.
He's
I
a
agree.
little bit safer.
All right.
My one thing with Burns is that I feel like he's kind of got 20. Wait, I'm gonna say the wrong year here. 2018 or 19 Garrett Cole syndrome, where he's so unbelievably good that one year that even him being very good but not as good is gonna make people look down on him, which is where I think some other guys are gonna kind of emerge. So while I think Burns is a really good pick, that's my one thing that I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's some regression bound. And I think that might sway the voters. I thought that was going to hurt Nikola Jokic in this MVP race, but obviously that's not the case anymore. So I could be wrong. Very well.
I would say Jokic
that's my reasoning.
I mean, unrelated just for a second. I'd say Jokic is better than he was last year, but
Exactly, but like it's hard to win 2 years in a row.
yeah,
You know, there's a
yeah,
lot-
it's
lot
always hard.
light
But
on it.
okay. Moving off basketball.
Yeah.
I think for the so yeah, I'd agree. So now I guess we'll wrap it
A
up
big
with
one.
with
Or not
one
the big
last
one, but
award. Just because I'd say there's the three biggest ones. Rookie of the Year. Any particular picks here?
I think I'm gonna go with like I would have gone with J-Rod, but I don't think he's gonna start the season in the major leagues. Maybe he does, but I just think it's better for the Mariners to give him like a little bit of more time in Double or Triple A, then just bring him up then.
Yeah.
But he could be he looks really ready. But I'll go with Torkelson on the American League just because I'm pretty sure Adley might be dealing with an injury right now.
Yeah.
And I was going to go with Rusney Contreras, but or O'Neal Cruz, but I don't. Again, I just don't know if they're starting on the major league roster. So what I'll do is I'll go with I think Seiya Suzuki is probably the pick, right? Because he can win Rookie of the Year. So I guess I'll go Seiya.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
No, you go, Saul.
I'm in agreement. With the similar caveat, should Julio Rodriguez start the year on the MLB opening day roster, then I think I think there's a very strong chance that he will win the Rookie of the Year. But I think Torkelson will accumulate better counting stats because he's an opening day guy, and that does sway some voters. And so his performance in itself with actual with the stats that I would say are more indicative of that performance, I think could be close enough to J-Rod's to where it's like, yeah, it's justifiable to have him in that Rookie of the Year winning spot. So yeah, I would say to me, yeah, I'd say I'd go with Torque, and then the National League. That's an interesting one. I think you picked who was it again?
Suzuki.
Seiya.
Suzuki.
I think that Suzuki, yeah, if he's eligible, then yeah, he's the pick. But just for the sake of having someone else in the name, because I think that you kind of look at some of these potential rookies, and I really like the chances for Keibert Ruiz to win the award as like an outside shot.
I got you. For me, obviously I'm gonna go say Suzuki because it's on my team. So for the NL, but we'll just get that out of the way. AL is a really interesting one. Both of them are really up in the air. It's Rookie of the Year, so basically you're just going with which guy you like the most. So I'm just gonna go with a wild pick here. I'm gonna pick Matt Brash from the Seattle Mariners. Stuff is really good. I think the Mariners, especially this year, they're gonna have a lot. Now people are really gonna notice how the prospects can start trickling in. And I think in that big rotation mix, you're going to look at Brash get more innings. And I think that even if he has a limited workload, he's still going to get a lot of favorite. You're still going to get a lot of positive looks and a lot of positive reviews. And I think that'd be enough to kind of push him in that range. Simultaneously, I think Joe Ryan kind of that category. It's just that I'm still, a little bit mixed on how Joe Ryan stuff's going to carry him in a full season, but He's got the delivery, and it's got the kind of the weird mechanics to take it up there. So, we'll see how it goes. But Matt Brash is kind of my guy right now.
Yeah. Link, how
And
about you?
Suzuki.
In the end, I'm gonna go with Suzuki, AL, Torkelson.
All right.
Good picks.
All right. And
All right.
I guess that's the preview. Unfortunately,
Wraps it up.
due to like time stuff, we aren't going to talk a lot about football today and the big off season, and we'll kind of go with that next time. Kind of unfortunate that we couldn't have Ryan really talk about the Browns. I know that's
We'll find another time.
We'll find another time. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Thank you guys for
It's
having
been
me
a
on.
pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you back on, Ryan.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Great.
It's always fun.
Like I promised you, when Correa signed next episode, you'd be on, and quite unfortunate that it was not with any of our teams. Yeah, but hell, even the Braves were linked to him.
Yeah, none of us got him. It's very sad. But hey.
What?
Oh yeah, the Braves were like, it was like speculated. I think prior to the Olsen movement that if they were going to lose out on Freeman, they would go on Correa. But yeah,
Yeah.
quite unfortunate. But yeah, so first episode, with the exception of that little basketball talk, just baseball. But yeah, it was.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, it
Though.
was awesome having you on. So yeah, this was episode 29, and hope you have a nice day. Whoever's listening through this still, or you just skip to the end. See you guys.
Thank you.
Peace.